Yeah! Look who's basically on time today. Us, we are. I didn't make us late because I was here early because I thought we were starting at 7 because that's just the kind of piece of garbage that I am.
We should stop lying to you.
Yeah, you should. The fact that people tell me the correct times for things is just outrageous. Sable Whisper has been despairing about my inability to keep time for I was about to say for generations. We were not we're not an ageless eternal couple. Maybe we are. Maybe it's sweet.
No, I'm pretty sure you are an ageless eternal couple and have in fact been being sweet at each other for generations.
Well, then that's just absolutely lovely. It's so lovely that you're all
no,
here.
You.
Shut up! I'm trying to do my intro. Recently, it has been made aware to me that I do a couple of things repeatedly in the beginnings of my intros, and that my hair always changes. So I decided to lean into it and dye my hair blue. This is my quarantine do. You're all welcome. Welcome to this stream, which is the 3rd episode of this latest adventure of the adventures. Yep. The latest adventure of the adventures of the crew of the USS Iskandar, who are the 4 of us that you see before you on screen, being as they are me, Mike, Kath, Emily, who play between all of us, the core crew of the USS
we're
Iskandar.
Reversed.
Shut up! Don't draw attention to it. I'll fix it.
Don't what?
Don't look.
If you talk while I'm talking, then I get distracted. So if that's what you want, that's fine. But I will go on a rant about how I found a box of matches in my makeup kit. What does it mean? Don't do makeup
Suggestions
matches
in chat.
Yeah, what does it mean? Suggestions in chat. Anywho, we're the crew of the USS Iskandar. I've said that. And we take it in turns to hot seat GM the various adventures so far, which are all available on YouTube at It Crew. But don't watch them now. You want to watch this. I'm sure that when I hand over to our GM for this adventure, Kath, you will get a rundown of the story so far as you need to know. But all you do need to know is that this is the 3rd episode of What We Are in the Dark, a harrowing. Just gonna minimize the crew who are distracting me with their everything. Who are a thing where we do playing and characters, and yep. So enjoy it or don't. I don't give a shit. Kath?
Now run for us.
I feel slightly responsible.
I blame Mike.
I blame Mike.
You're all horrible to me, and then I get the blame for not being any good at doing the intro, so...
I think none of these things have happened. Just going to gaslight you gently. Welcome back. Welcome to session 3 of episode 6, What You Are in the Dark. Traditionally, it's so convenient for Star Trek that I can just yell at a PC to ease us in with a previously, which is some sort of officer's log. But I can't do that right now because literally nobody is keeping a log. So if you haven't watched our last 2 sessions, or if you just want a reminder, we'll go to our previouslys, as we will still get the great late Madge Alvarette Roddenberry herself to previously on Star Trek Iskandar. The crew of the USS Iskandar have engaged on a joint mission with a Cardassian crew on an archaeological survey to a planet within Cardassian territory. Initially, they investigated what are believed to be old Bajoran ruins and the remains of an ancient Bajoran lightship, a pre-warp means of Bajoran interstellar travel some 800 years old. However, the away team, consisting of EXO Commander Thalandra, Chief Engineer Lieutenant Strange, Chief Medical Officer Dr. Arkady Burov, Chief Science Officer Ensign Samuel Casey, and the Cardassian representative Gul Elrad, stumbled upon a underground facility in which they were immediately, of course, locked with no access to comms, no access to tricorders, and no access to any functioning weaponry, because that's how mysterious underground bunkers roll, yo. They have made their way through this the place which they believe to be some sort of 400-year-old Cardassian-built prison. They have found ancient remains of Cardassian dead. They have found old record logs, as I say, suggesting this to be a prison facility in which every single one of the 104 inmates died, many of them apparently violently, sometimes in massive bursts of violence, and often coinciding with what the computer records have mysteriously referred to as programs. The facility is running on minimal power, but there appears to be some sort of dampening field and a lockdown, and the OA team are endeavoring to find some control center, power core, or something to try to establish control over the facility. However, along the way, they have started to find themselves acting somewhat out of sorts. Minor tensions came to a head after an encounter on the agricultural wing with a large piece of agricultural machinery gone violent and rogue and tried to splat them. Whilst it was defeated, this prompted a emotional and furious outburst from the Vulcan XO, which has precipitated the storming off into the wilderness of this overgrown agricultural wing by Ensign Casey on his own, and attempts to restore some semblance of normalcy by Gal Elrad and Lieutenant Strange, which upon finding Commander Talandra seemingly struggling with her own self-control, which Vulcans ain't supposed to do, they split up. Lieutenant Strange and Dr. Burov setting off after Ensign Casey, while Galorad has remained with Commander Talandra. And sometimes you think it's difficult in a game like this to get the party to split up, and then sometimes they just do it for you.
We're a considerate party like that.
Very considerate party like that. So, we are going to pick up, starting off with Samuel Casey.
That's me. That's my face.
After the fight, after the row with Talandra, and with Casey invoking the memory of her dead father, it was a row. Talandra left. Casey attempted to give and or seek comfort from Lieutenant Strange and was silently but clearly rebuffed. And you left.
Mhm.
Set off into the long, overgrown wilderness of this farming section, which has continued to run on a certain amount of automation. Whatever was originally here is now just tall weeds. You no longer have the shears, which you picked up as they were shattered in the fight, but you can still advance, picking your way through the greenery, trying to make it to the other side. And within a matter of minutes, you can get there. It's just you, you're unharmed. You can get there. What you find first is another one of those narrow corridors, gloomily lit, but at the end, no more than 10 meters down, is another one, the door sealed, of what looks like the elevators. You may approach, and you see, set right next to the keypad, just as there was on the level above, the slot for a keycard, which you do not have.
I do not. But I would like to enter this door.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything around in terms of detritus or objects that I might be able to, if not conduct some actual attempted engineering to try and force this door open, bludgeon the lock in the hope for one of those movie going, I shoot the lock and then the thing opens type affairs?
You can probably find enough scrap bits of metal to furnish at least, like, we're talking the makeshift screwdriver, the thing to prise the panel off. So if you want to try to MacGyver your way past this,
I would love to. If I can get the panel off, then all it is a matter of switching wires around,
bypassing the security check. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to ask an engineering check, and it's going to be, I'm going to bump up the difficulty once for the fact that you are using improvised tools. And I'm going to bump up the difficulty again because there is a matter of time as to whether or not you would complete the task before Arcady and Strange would catch up with you.
Absolutely.
So you've got to get a 4 or above to succeed. Yeah, let me know if you fail, and then we can discuss things you could possibly spend fate points on.
Cool. I have not failed that roll. That is a 5, 4, 8.
That's an 8. So yes, you succeed with style. You may indeed. Yeah, you can crank this. It's simple enough. Break it open. Bypass any of the security things. Light goes bing. Doors slide open.
To add a little bit of flavor, because I imagine the way this is shot, if this was like a 3-part episode, like Casey's just like muttering to himself, but it's like it's near petulant, without it being like absolutely juvenile. Like, you know, when someone's angry enough that they're just saying things, and you can see from just the look on their face that they're hot on the inside. It's that. I imagine like he's tampering with this lock, and like kind of like that little discordant music trill to indicate that something's clearly gone funky in this boy's brain, as he kind of tampers away. But then a look of triumph as the light blinks, because he has proven himself right in that he can do this and must do this.
Okay, you step into the lift. As per the previous one, it only has 1 level it can go to. And you start to head down.
Okay.
Going to send you a message.
Thank you. I'm going to check my Facebook is muted. It was.
I sent it without checking because I was only half paying attention.
It's okay. It's one of my pre-stream checks.
Okay. And we are going to leave that there for the moment. Dr. Burov and Lieutenant Strange. You are following several long minutes behind Ensign Casey, advancing through the long grass. It's slightly difficult going, certainly. Thankfully, due to the marvels of Starfleet medicine, Strange isn't feeling his bruised ribs from the fight too badly. But they are there, and I remind anyone, as clearly this might be more of a PvP thing, those you can invoke those against Strange if ever you so wish. I know normally I can do that,
Mike.
but I feel like I need to let you all now know that you can do that.
I mean, I was going to remind people if you didn't, so...
I'm a team player. I would never.
Certainly Arcady would never.
Oh yeah, Arcady would never.
But would Izzy. Yeah, you can proceed, and it is much as I have described. You advance through the long grass, probably making slightly slower headway due to Strange's injuries than Casey, until you make it to the long corridor. And this lift section, the lift doors are shut, and you can see the panel that has been ripped off the side.
I mean, do you reckon that's him?
Let's go have a look, shall we? Stranger will go over and have a closer look and see, does this look like somebody has freshly tampered with it?
Make me an engineering check, difficulty 1.
That is an 8.
Not only can you summon it, I feel like I may have made a terrible mistake on that. You succeed, and also you get a good enough understanding that I'm going to give you 2 free invocations in doing anything with this door panel.
Okay.
Because you've taken one look, you know exactly how these things work. They're probably the sort of thing which, I don't know how young Strange was when he tampered with things, but we're talking about the kind of system which he could have put together, you know, in school, that level of stuff. He knows this sort of shit back to front. And yes, this has clearly been very recently tampered with.
Yep, and
done in a way which you'd recognize. Like it's,
I was about to say, it's probably, cause you know how when people do things, people tend to do things in a way that's slightly distinctive if you know what you're looking for.
Yes.
So Strange can, I assume, recognize that this is maybe not necessarily Casey, but clearly Starfleet.
It's in fact,
style.
And Mike may correct me because I'm going to make some extrapolations here. I would say that the thing which distincts it is it is textbook, rather than necessarily having that practical flair of a seasoned engineer.
Yeah, so
you should be careful though. If he's tampered with it, it might be dangerous. It might have loose.
I'm pretty sure that it isn't dangerous. It looks like he's just bodged it open.
Of course, but bodging, you know, he doesn't pay attention to one loose connection, and
No, I'm fairly confident that this door panel poses no threat to us.
you say so.
Okay.
As opposed to that bloody idiot.
You're really mad at him, eh?
What gave it away?
Just good with people like that.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about it?
Not particularly, no.
If we find him, though, will you still be cross with him?
Almost certainly, yes. Given
Maybe.
that he's gone and wandered off by himself in a childish huff with no good reason other than just storming off to go and prove how clever he is.
Taking the commander's words to heart, eh?
Something like that is probably what he's doing.
Listen, you know how that wasn't normal Vulcan behavior?
Oh, yeah, I'm fairly sure that wasn't normal Vulcan behavior.
No. Something here is, I think, affecting all of us. I am so anxious right now. I don't even know how to put a numerical value on it. I wonder if maybe some of your annoyance is because of whatever is going on. Not saying you don't have a right to be annoyed at him. He's done a stupid thing, but...
Oh, yeah, it is entirely likely that at least part of the reason that I am as annoyed as I am is because of what's going on here and how we're all being affected by things because, well, you know, I don't know how much of what's happening here is normal stuff. Mostly just frustrating that this is the kind of thing that's happening again, really. But never mind.
Well, if there's anything I can do, just say. I'm not very good at the technology side, but the people side, that's where my expertise lies.
Well, yes, that would be the best explanation for why you're here.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, what I said, it's the best explanation for why you're here. Somebody to do people things, because I can't do people things that well, so clearly somebody else It has to be
I mean,
there
I'm
for people.
no, I'm also one of the best doctors on the ship. Run my own department. I'm equal to you in the ship's authority rankings.
Okay, that's not what I meant. I meant, well, what I said.
No,
I can't do people, and you're somebody who can, so makes sense. Right. Oh, need to work out what to do about the fact that Sam has disappeared off down a lift shaft.
should we follow him or should we go back to the others?
That is the decision, isn't it?
It would be safer if we went back for the others.
Probably would be for us.
I mean, wherever he's gone ahead, there might be more of those things. It's not safe to go on without support and without help.
Well, yes, but he has.
So we should well, if we go down, we could get seriously hurt, and then what? They'll have to come looking for us anyway. And if we go all together, it diminishes the chance that anyone could get hurt.
Mm-hmm. Or alternatively, you could go back and get the commander and Gul Elrad.
Well, no, because then you're going off on your own, and you will be at risk. You'll be more at risk because you won't have me there to support you.
So we just... Sam has disappeared off down to whatever the next level of this hellhole is.
Mm-hmm.
And he's gone off by himself.
Which
He's at
was
risk.
stupid and ridiculous.
It was.
So if we want to help, we should do the sensible thing by getting the others and going as a group, not going in bits and drips and drops and drabs.
Fine. No, you're obviously here as voice of reason. Well, the other voice of reason. Other than Talandra, who, whilst acting out of sorts, is still being the other kind of voice of reason.
She's being the voice of logic, not necessarily reason.
Logic, reason, could be often be a bit interchangeable. Yep, fine. We'll go back. We will get Talandra and the Cardassian, and then we'll go down like that. We'll do that. Paying attention to the voices of reason worked well last time. No reason to assume it won't work well this time.
Good.
And Adam just storms back off through the grass.
A glance back over their shoulder at the open lift shaft, and Arcady's going to trot after him.
Okay. Back at the shack. We last found Commander Talandra, having made an obvious and violent display of anger by smashing the shit out of the shack. The windows have been broken, and there is a large dent in the metal wall from full Vulcan strength lashing out at it. She is sat, meditating, desperately attempting to regain some control. sat a short distance away, sort of at the edge of her line of sight, and just waiting, is Galelrad, who will say nothing. How long does Talandra sit there?
So she probably sits there a few minutes, sort of a good solid 5 minutes of sitting there and working on her various meditation practices. She's talking to herself likely softly in Vulcan, and she's, working through absolute beginner stuff, because it's the kind of stuff you do when you're a child and you need to handle your emotions. She's not used to being overly emotional, and it's a little bit frightening. But I think out of nowhere, she's going to keep her eyes closed, but she's going to say something like, I didn't mean to bring up the occupation. It wasn't appropriate.
Well, technically, I believe that I brought it up.
Yes, but I should have let it be.
I appreciate that. However, clearly not all is well.
No. Clearly.
I would ask how you're feeling. Is that still an appropriate question?
I feel like a great river, very still on the surface, but very active beneath. And I also feel like a swimmer in that river.
Is the river normally there?
The river is always there. But there is never as much risk of being dragged beneath the surface of the water. The guide tells us that you have to learn to not to fight the current, or you will exhaust yourself and drown. You have to keep swimming regardless.
Accept, contemplate, and move on?
Yes.
Acceptance isn't working right now.
No. I felt like I was not in my own body when I shouted at Lieutenant Strange and Ensign Casey.
That is, for what that is worth, that is not an entirely uncommon sense after losing one's temper entirely. It feels very right at the time, and then afterwards, you look back and reflect.
I still do not think I was incorrect. But I raised my voice, and that is unacceptable.
Have you ever lost your temper before?
Not since I was a child. Kolinar helps to take the edges off everything.
What is... I understand, but is it merely a meditative process?
Yes. One that one must always be working on.
That makes more sense. I had read of it as the purging and thought it very peculiar that that would be something which one would ever fully succeed at.
There are very few Vulcans that can say to have truly succeeded. After all, we must do what we can to vent our emotions every now and then. But it is stability, rather than purging.
How do you usually vent your emotions?
Not in a way that is practical here.
Very well. Are there any lesser efforts for doing it? You cannot be a dam right now. You may normally be. I'm going to end up having to mix my metaphors because I think we need to find more of a valve for your feelings. Something to release a little pressure. I don't necessarily mean at this moment, but
No.
in case this happens again. And do not mistake me, I'm quite confident that, not really knowing them particularly well, but I assume your chief medical officer is not normally paranoid to the point almost of inaction about any possible pathogens in the air, and that your young ensign is not normally showing such a shocking failure in his military comport, or not military, discipline.
No.
So most of us are affected.
How is it affecting you?
I don't know. This is a very unusual situation. This is obviously a very unusual situation for everyone. However, I am the outsider. I would, if under normal circumstances, if I were in this, I would be in a position more such as yourself, responsible for everybody, having to keep command of everybody. It is unusual for me to be in a professional environment where it is just me, so to speak. My concerns and pressures are different to how they might normally be. I have been thinking on this. As far it appears, perhaps it is that lesser element of stress which has allowed me to maintain some rational perspective. Because if I was down here with my own crew, I can freely admit to you that I would be terrified of them.
I am grateful at least that I have not felt fear since stepping into this place.
Good. Fear is a distraction. Anger, at least, can sometimes be fuel.
I am not immune to concern, but I am not afraid. Yet I am faced with regrets. regrets should be purged wherever possible.
Regrets can wait. For the moment, the purpose is getting everyone through this alive. Lingering upon, by all means, reflect upon choices that have been made, but simply correct them. Do not do them again. Further corrections, amends, those can wait. You do not need everyone else here to be your friend. You do not even necessarily need them to trust you as they always do. What is necessary is maintaining the chain of command.
Yes, I'm aware of that. I apologize.
No, I suppose I was telling you things you know full well.
I have self-indulgence far too long.
I told Lieutenant Strange we are going to wait. At least some 30 minutes.
And then I am going to go and stretch my legs.
Very well.
She's going to move around to the front of the shack where there's more space with her big metal stick, and she's going to do, big metal stick workout.
Neat. Yeah, he won't. He will not follow. He will leave her some space. And it's under these circumstances that Strange and Burov return. And Elrod will move around to the front, and everyone can gather up.
So, perhaps predictably, sat up, Ensign Casey has wandered off and gone down to the next level by himself.
Is it far?
No, it's just a couple of minutes through the grass. I don't know how far down he's gone, other than however far the next lift takes us.
And then we press on.
Mm-hmm.
Has the lift gone? Is there a chance that it will return?
The lift's gone down. It'll probably come back up. It's, as far as I can tell, there's still power in it that'll make it work, unless these things are one way only, in which case I guess we're finding another way down.
Very well. We'll follow his footsteps and keep going.
Standard practice, even 400 years ago, would mean that there should at least be emergency access if we can get the doors open.
Well, keep your eyes sharp and be aware of what is pressing on your mind. Mm-hmm. We are not ourselves in this place.
Team press on. Can move through the long grass.
Strange is probably fairly clearly quite impatient about having had to come back and then go back to the door.
Certainly Elrod will be setting a good pace, and I can't imagine Talandra is going to be lingering. So you return at a fairly decent rate to the lift, which, yes, doors are still shut, panel is still as you left it.
Strange will just go straight over to it and just start trying to make it work.
Yeah, it's going to be an engineering check, just in case, but I'm not sure it's possible for you to fail it.
You can get a 0 on it.
Yeah, you can. Yes, you can,
fail.
but you've still got those invocations.
Oh yeah, I do have those.
So...
Yeah, I don't think I can fail it. Unless you set the difficulty ludicrously high.
No, there's no reason for me to set the difficulty ludicrously high.
Oh, that was almost a crit.
Boom!
We're
you
back.
Make a new lift. I don't know why I bothered to make you roll, but I feel I shouldn't give you things for free just because you're good at it.
What do invocations do? I might as well use one just for giggles because I'm not going to be using this lift
you
again.
Succeed. Invocations will allow you to re-roll or add a +2. It's like spending a fate point, but it's essentially in this case, the first attempt was so good. Your first thing was so good that you got a bonus to any future attempts at interacting with that thing. It was like
if I use one of them, I can get 11.
Use both of them and get a 13.
Good.
Actually, no, I will allow you to keep them for because
future doors?
For this lift system.
Ooh.
God knows what you might do, but you never know.
Cool, I'll keep them. In that case, that's a mere 9.
Hey, you succeed so well that you gain more. 4 free invocations on this fucking lift. Jesus.
Who needs Zal when Strange can lift? Yes, I've killed Izzy.
Do
you even lift Strange? Yes, I do.
Honestly, Strange basically reaches in, tweaks something, and you hear the whir as the lift comes back up. Doors open. You may step inside. There is only one button. And the lift will descend. Let me... Goes to Izzy.
Ooh, does this lift come with this lift come with reading material?
This lift comes with reading material.
Oh, how lovely.
These lifts have been so kind to you so far.
Adrek was here and is gay. Well, that's not acceptable.
Samuel Casey. The lift opens to a long, narrow maintenance corridor, only wide enough for you to advance. Well, it's only you, but it's only slightly wider than your shoulders. The corridor itself is dark, but at the far end there is that pale, sickly yellow light as it appears to open up after a stretch.
Moving through this narrow chamber, I imagine a lot of the kind of mutterings and one second, I just need to adjust my audio levels. That should be better. I imagine a lot of his mutterings. Sounds janky. Oh no. My audio's
Sounds clear to us. So
Yeah. Perfectly clear to me. You too can enjoy scintillating online gaming with Zoom, which works perfectly and never fucks us in any way.
Okay, that should be clearer now.
If it isn't, we'll kill Mike for you.
I'll be murdered, and on stream it'll be wild.
yeah.
As
Cool.
discussed, we might get demonetized for that.
Well, we can
Demonetized.
have someone drag him off camera, and then there can be screams.
That's deniable. That's true.
As he moves through this corridor, I imagine a lot of his kind of mutterings will be along the line because of the narrowness of it. It's along the lines of, "I was right to do this. I was right to do this alone. I would literally, right now, be slowed down. This is correct. This is the right thing to do."
Because it's a little small to move through comfortably, there's that very pressing claustrophobia through the corridor, which certainly exacerbates any knife edge feelings that you're having. Anything which burns is exacerbated by this wriggle through this corridor. And then you're out into the computer core, which is a large circular room. At the center is a circular bank of computer consoles, which at the center of them comes together for the computer core itself, a pillar reaching up into the high ceiling of the chamber. The far length of the wall is lined with the familiar build of sealed containment units. And on one of the consoles, there is a pulsing light.
I will head towards the blinking console.
That's fine. I'll just change something which I forgot to update. Okay. You move to the console, akin to the archives, which you weren't in, but for everyone else and Mike's benefit, it's simply the moment you touch a control, that console comes to light, and you get a diagnostic scroll and the status scroll coming up on the screen. It shows that the facility has 2 settings running: minimal power and program 97.
Can I get further information on program 97?
You tap in, trying to access the computer console, but it splats at you with the exact same computer rejections that you received. Same ones which Strange and Talandra broke through.
Yes, but I can do this. Initial reaction, kind of swipe that to the side. Let's try restoring the power.
Let's just try to just go straight to trying to access full power.
Full power.
You try to go into the system control commands with access rejected.
Unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable. I can do this. I'm going to try where possible. Basically, I want to try and figure out the operating system and figure out the inputs that might be needed. It's a code, correct? Or something like that. Okay, so he's going to basically try almost a rudimentary, however one might mathematically go about going through common number combinations. I know it's essentially random, but he'll be applying some kind of idea of logic of no two numbers repeating, numbers far apart, very, very quickly kind of put together almost a mental list of, I'm going to try these variables, assuming that the first two numbers are these two things, and then I'm just going to move on and move on.
Okay.
And just
so you're essentially trying to brute force the computer system.
Yeah. If I can type quickly, then I can go through numerous versions of this.
Okay. I mean, the first two things which will strike Casey, as his brain basically starts to whir into action in that way, a keen mind sometimes just launches ahead without the user really interacting with it in any way. The first thing is that he realizes that for a split second he was thinking about ways of making his tricorder spit out the numbers for him, because that would be, under normal circumstances, he'd just like, basically, I've got an app for that. Go for that. The second thing is Casey has a brief moment of going, how do the Cardassians view their kind of mathematical equations and logic? And then I imagine has to basically reject that as insufficient data to even incorporate it.
Yeah, that's not good.
But that is okay, regardless of anything else. That is going to be time consuming as a process. So you've probably been down there about 20 to 30 minutes.
And
before.
Like, for the record, the moment he needs to basically pen and paper it, if there is a surface that can be marked, he will just start marking that surface with whatever he can find. If there's something sharp, even if it's just like snapping the tricorder, which right now is defective and useless.
So you start to carve numbers into the wall panels.
Yeah.
Okay. You're starting to do that because if nothing else, you've got a lot of numbers to keep in your head.
Exactly.
And eventually you're going to want to start a tally of what's been tried and what hasn't been tried.
Yes.
So for about 25 minutes of this, there is the ping and the whir. As behind you, the lift doors open. And for the 4 in the lift, you see the narrow, thin, dark passageway leading out to the main computer core and the silhouetted shape of Samuel Casey.
Well, unless anybody else is getting in the way, Stranger's going to be first out the lift and down the corridor.
Nope.
Nope. Cool.
Elrad will probably be second under that situation, but Elrad is continuing to generally let other people launch themselves.
Take the lead.
Yeah.
Yeah. He'll scrape them off the floor later.
Okay. Casey. Okay. God damn it! I'm sure I've been getting Casey and Strange mixed up several times as I've spoken. I was like, I'm sure this has happened.
To one gestalt entity of sadness.
Perfect.
Strange bolts forward. I don't know if Izzy's nod there was yes, you
kind
have,
of like
or
properly
it happens.
storming forwards. Like again, he's frustrated and angry at the situation.
Strange storms forward, followed by Elrad. What are Burov and Talandra doing? Just so I know what they're doing before this shit pops off.
Burov will sort of take a moment and sort of take a breath, and will step out of the lift, kind of calmly. And Talandra is going to step out again with a completely neutral expression while she just sort of observes the room and takes in all of the big details. She's walking a little bit like someone is just walking away from an explosion. Like she's just kind of walking like, yep.
Okay. Yeah. Casey, you hear the footsteps behind you. If you look, strangers storming at you.
The look is cursory, and then he returns to the very important job of keeping track of what permutation is he at. And he's just carving into the wall.
Yeah.
Ensign, what the hell do you think you're doing?
This doesn't need to involve you. You might as well return upstairs.
What do you mean it doesn't need to involve me? What are you doing?
Okay, I'll correct myself. Preferably this shouldn't involve you. You can return upstairs.
Do you want to answer the question of what it is you are thinking that you're doing? Storming off by yourself, wandering off, thinking you're the smartest person in the world, and that means you can just leave off without the rest of us?
No. Which is, sorry, I must catch you up on that. No, I don't want to answer that question. This is wasting valuable time.
Wasting valuable time for what? You showing off?
I'm not showing off for anyone. I would prefer, in fact, if no one was here to witness this.
Well, tough.
Okay. If that's the end of the conversation, then the point is made. Thank you.
The point has... And Strange will now come over and actually look at what Sam's doing.
It looks like he's trying to brute force his way through the computer system. It is that will take a long, long time.
If you leave me to this, then I'll be able to get power fully operational and also be able to find out what this program is that's running, apparently.
Yeah, if I leave you down here for what? Let's see, how far have you got here? And Strange will cursory glance over the equations. He hasn't got very far, has he?
I mean, the problem is you don't even know how many digits or what this passcode is going to be, so... Yeah.
So what, if I leave you down here for what? A week? 2? A month? Maybe you'd get it then?
Probably take a month if you continue to just bark at me like some creature. Yes. Now, if I am going to ask again to be excused.
Ensign Casey, report.
The report is, Commander, I am on the
report
cusp.
To me.
I would sooner not.
That's an order, Ensign.
The most efficient way for us to continue along this tract would be for whatever means by which you can order me to be removed. If this means resignation for the sake of getting us out of here, I'm happy to proceed with that.
Ensign Casey, come over here.
No.
And explain what you are doing.
No. He backs away from the scrolling, backs away from the computer. This movement is specifically to put distance away from you guys and himself. It's fairly bestial in that regard. His eyes are wide. No.
Elrad will position himself in front of the computer console.
Strange will roll his eyes at Casey, backing off from it and whatever it is he's doing, and start trying to work the problem himself. With better.
Talandra's gonna step forward and put a hand towards Elrad in a kind of. Very well, then, said Casey. I will come to you, and you can explain what's happening. I'm interested to hear your thinking. That is, if you feel that I am able to understand your explanation.
It's not about understanding. It's the fact that nobody listens.
I'm listening now.
Now it's too late. You didn't listen before. You didn't listen when we were in the cornfield or whatever that was. You didn't listen to me when we were up in the chambers of the dead. Throughout this whole excursion, it's become incredibly apparent that nobody is prepared to listen to me. Everybody is prepared to overlook me. And because of this perceived idea that I'm trying to impress someone, that I'm trying to be better than I am. No, I'm trying to be what this situation needs me to be. And frankly, it is proving time and time again that I can only be what I need to be right now if I do it alone. Because frankly, nobody is paying attention to me anyway. You're not listening. And perhaps I'd be better off if nobody listened to me. Nobody saw me. You made it quite clear.
All the while, Talandra is approaching at a very sedate pace while sort of listening. Yes, I understand. I have not been the commander that you required for this mission. I have never been the commander that fully brought out the best in you. I'm aware that I was never your first choice.
It's happening again. This isn't about you.
No, it's about you, Samuel.
I need to succeed at this, not to prove anything, but because it's the only way that we get out alive, that I get out alive.
Casey isn't that tall, is he?
I can't remember. He's probably shorter than Talandra.
Yeah,
I think
not
that's
hard.
certain.
Okay, then she's going to lean against a console, one of the dead consoles, and is going to reach out and put her hand on his shoulder and look him in the eyes. And she's going to say, "Then tell me what you need. You can have any resources we can give you."
I need to be left to my work. The resource that I need is solitude.
Very well.
I need to be left alone.
Lieutenant Strange, Dr. Burov, go Elrod, to the left if you would.
During this process, because Strange was starting to get to work.
Of course.
Yep.
Can you make what was Strange trying to do?
Strange is trying to effectively do a lot of the stuff that Sam was doing, but using kind of the previous knowledge that he's got of getting into the archives and that kind of thing to make it a bit easier.
I'm going to redeem a minor help from Frey McFuzzles for Strange, and it also makes sense under the circumstances. Strange's slightly more pragmatic approach to these things.
Yeah, he's not going to be going through like a systematic of start at 0, work up to however many, and go through the numbers in order. He'll know that there's entire blocks that you could just leave out and things like that.
Exactly, and probably the best way to get about doing that is going to be actually just physically rewiring things.
Yeah.
As he's got some understanding of how this is working, this command console is asking you to do it. However, the full systems and the command input are not necessarily even in the same physical section of this facility. Mm-hmm. He can probably physically rewire this to route full power back into the main facility, which would be an engineering task, and that would take a couple of hours is his best estimation.
Yep. Okay. So while this is going on, has he probably got to the point where he's maybe starting that?
Yeah, he could have started to. Yeah, Elrad is not gonna get in Strange's way. Elrad has had no reason to get in Strange's way so far. So Strange is yanking off bits of the consoles and starting to look at the various paneling underneath at around about the point where Talandra gives the order to gives the order of everyone else to the lift.
Oh, yeah. He carries on.
Lieutenant Strange.
Commander, if I could point out that the method that the ensign was taking to deal with the issue of fixing the computer core, that would have taken on the order of a couple of weeks. I can probably get the system up and running in 2 hours.
Of course, Lieutenant, but given the circumstances, Ensign Casey is quite correct. And Talandra's going to keep a hand on Casey's shoulder and is going to turn and look at Strange.
Strange probably can't see her because he's got his head under console.
Well, she's going to
Yeah, she
Tell her,
looks
look
at him,
at
but
him.
oh
Doesn't
yeah,
matter
like
if he's not looking at her.
he's not invisible. But...
And it's gonna say, Lieutenant, we're going to let the ensign try his method, and we're going to go back upstairs and continue exploring that other path.
Commander, I thought the priority here was that we were getting out of this situation.
Our priorities have changed, Lieutenant. I will not be questioned on this again. To the lift, if you would be so kind.
Nope, Strange isn't having it. He's carrying on.
Talandra is going to do a thing, which is a gesture which Casey could easily take whatever way he wants to, but I know how it's intended, which is she's going to effectively take her hand off his shoulder like she stopped holding him back.
Oh, fuck. I was not prepared for this. I don't know how he passes it.
Fuck. This is how I die.
And then she's going to sort of step out of his way so that she's no longer standing between him and Strange.
He will step up. His boots kind of align with Strange's as he kind of squares up to where Strange is under the console.
And as he steps up and squares with Adam Strange, Talandra is going to step up behind him and nerve pinch him.
Hell yes. Hell yes.
Yes!
Hell yes!
First time this game. I've had it for so long. Literally, the way it's shot is he steps up, opens his mouth probably to say something unkind to Strange,
and then
she literally just takes. I would love it if in that moment Strange senses Casey's there, looks up as if to say like, "What?" and then he just
sees Casey hit the deck.
He just crumples into Talandra's arms.
Also, at that moment, Elrad will have slightly squared up as Casey approached Strange.
You could imagine kind of the music rising to that, the shots of like everyone looking like about to fight to fuck, and then just like Strange. Oh, no, I'm Casey. Casey dropping out of view, just like a really calm-faced Talandra. Beautiful.
Yeah, I could see the whole shot.
I'm sorry, Mike. This is just happening. It's too beautiful.
In future, Lieutenant Strange, if you would have faith in my decision-making. It was an elaborate ploy intended to lower Ensign Casey's guard.
Well, that could have been a little clearer, Commander.
I spoke at length of a lie, hoping that you would pick up on the fact that we had no alternate route upstairs. You did not even... She picks him up easily and goes, "You did not even show the slightest bit of interest in my subterfuge." And then stalks off to go and put Casey down somewhere not too dusty.
Just casually, just slowly break the neck. Just easy stuff.
Snap.
Huh.
Carry on, Lieutenant.
Aye, Commander.
Elrad steps aside, and Strange can start to work. Now, it's hot down here. That isn't something which Elrad cares about, and it isn't really something which Talandra cares about. And Burov is pretty uncomfortable. Adam Strange.
Adam Strange is Scottish. He is not used to heat.
It is hot down here. You are working, you are aware of the beads of sweat on your forehead. You are aware of Elrad not pacing a lot, just a little. Footsteps. Burov's breathing. It's like everyone down here is emanating this field which prickles. They are there. And every time you try to focus on the work, they just do something. Move, breathe, not make a sound, which is annoying because then you're braced for when they are going to make a sound. And it is intensely intensely distracting.
So the way that this is now playing in my head is, so Stranger's trying to focus on a couple of wires or something, and trying his best to focus on it, and then gets distracted by whoever's nearest. Probably that's going to be the person he probably lashes out at. Kind of slightly shocks himself on the wire in his frustration, and it's probably less to do with the frustration and more to do with the fact that his hands are covered in sweat, because sweaty hands make it much easier to electrocute yourself on wires. So who's nearest for me to lash out at?
Elrad will be periodically pacing. He's not enough of an asshole that he's going to be like driving a groove in the ground. But he's a little restless. What are Burov and Talandra doing?
Talandra is sat with Casey, because I imagine nothing here is comfortable because it's Cardassian fucking architecture. So she sat on the floor with his head on her lap. And Burov will be probably pacing too, but not in a sort of wearing a groove in the floor, but like Burov is actively looking around the room, like not to try and outdo Strange, but just looking for points of curiosity, loose panels, interesting bits and bobs, secret tunnels, that kind of thing.
Secret tunnel.
You never know.
Never know.
Maybe there's a tunnel to the ceiling and we don't have to do all of it.
There's a high chance then that it's Burov who in there minor meandering.
Probably snap at them both, to be honest. If they're both pacing, then that's an obvious thing for him to target. Yeah, so there'll be a kind of a slight snap of electricity, some fluent Scottish swearing coming from under the desk. Gull Elrad and Dr. Burov, would you mind not pacing for just a moment?
Not pacing.
It's very distracting.
My apologies, Lieutenant.
I'm just looking.
Well, could you look a little more quietly?
Burov's going to bend down and take off their boots. Okay. I'll be quieter.
Elrad does shrink is the wrong word, but he does slightly tense up in that getting smaller way. And he does he kind of slinks over to where Talandra is and just stands there, leans against the panel and stops moving.
She will indicate to him that he can sit with her rather than looming over her. Eye contact acknowledges it, but unless the indication is sit the fuck down and stop looming, he seems to like having some space. And Strange can get back to work. Can I get an engineering check off you? Still difficulty 1, so a 2 or higher, but this is to determine time frames rather than
that is a 6.
Okay. I need to stop doing that because I have a free invocation and start marking this shit down of anything you want to do with the computer core. Or a boost is technically what I should be saying. However, your 2-hour margin is seeming quite accurate. But
Strange does not believe in the Montgomery Scott School of Starfleet timings.
The good boy. He doesn't lie. He just does a good job. He also concludes that he'll need to restore power to the whole facility if you're going to affect what is likely to be a dampening facility, a dampening field, or the front door. Okay. While you can reroute some of the hardware from down here to bypass the need for command code, the power settings on those upper levels will still need activating. Strange will remember on both floors, one in the office and one in the entrance hall, there were those large computer consoles. There should probably be something from up there, which once Strange finishes rerouting some things, someone up there would need to manually probably just activate a button, press a power setting, accept a yes or boot up command from there. So theoretically, Strange could get the entire thing done. Then everyone goes up to the second floor, then everyone goes up to the first floor. And then everyone probably has to come all the way back down here, because you're going to need to finish up some stuff, especially to make sure if you want to isolate what is the lockdown, isolate what is the dampening field, and work from there.
Okay.
Or Strange carries on working down here, and other people retrace their footsteps and
go back up to the upper floors. And
yes, and when the light is on, like, he's not sure what it'll look like, but it should simply be a reactivate full power to this. Once he's essentially put power back to those consoles as the central point, someone would then need to turn the power on.
Yeah, so if we go with the split the party option, then it would be Strange finishes up some stuff down here, the rest of the party go back up, or some of the party go back upstairs and go to the consoles on the upper floors, and then there'd be something down here that I would see that would change,
then you'd see
and then I
yeah.
could change that and then go back upstairs and meet everybody up.
Yeah.
After. Oh, that's the version of the plan that Strange is going to relay.
Yeah.
Rather than the go back up and go back down option, because obviously this option is far more efficient and the priority is getting out of here as quickly as possible.
And they'd be gone.
And then we're gone.
And they'd be gone from this room.
And they'd be gone, and it would be much easier for me to finish up down here. But, just anything to get them out.
Strange relays this. Is he?
And there is no reaction. They're now being too quiet.
Sorry, I was managing something. What does Strange explain?
Okay.
So what Strange explains is... Actually, no. I'll do this in character, because that's much better.
That's what I assumed. I don't listen to Kath giving you instructions, because why would I know
Yeah,
that?
but, nobody wants to hear Kath give me instructions, and then I go, right, and then just regurgitate everything Kath says, but, with a Scottish accent. But... Right. Now got up to the point where there's just a couple of things to do on this, and then everything down here would be sorted. But what this system now needs is those. There are consoles on the upper floors that somebody is going to need to go up to on each of the two floors above and activate something once the power is back up, and then from down here I can at that point identify what is causing these bloody doors to be shut and can fix that from here.
Do we know the location of these two consoles?
Yeah, it's and Strange will
that would follow. These are obviously old designs, but it makes sense to me.
Yeah, very well. You must remain here with the panels. She looks down at Ensign Casey with a look of, a very soft look of,
what to do with this sack of spuds.
When is he likely to recover?
I don't know, Kath. How long does it take to recover from getting nerve pinched? Never. I've killed him.
Well, I guess we leave him here for dead.
Sorting, Memory Alpha, your go-to for all emergencies.
This episode's sponsored by Memory Alpha.
Damn it, Izzy, you got there first.
Vulcan neck pinch. My internet is slow.
At least I didn't accidentally use the Vulcan death grip.
By the
Are you sure?
Why is this being slow to load?
Maybe it was secretly the death grip all along, and there's never been such a thing as the nerve pinch.
Okay, well, I guess normal wiki is loading quicker. Why would it not give me the answers? Okay. You know what? He'll probably recover. I imagine that Borov could bring him round at any time which they chose. I'm going to get letters about this because I get it wrong. Because Memory Alpha doesn't want to load. Oh, here we go. Recovery fails effectiveness. Proving ineffective and surprisingly on robots. It doesn't actually say.
How did you dislocate your finger? I tried to Vulcan nerve pinch a robot and it was very embarrassing.
Yeah, it doesn't appear to indicate. There is no canon as to how long it
What convenience
will last.
is like the time.
But yeah, I can't imagine it's enormously long because that would be far more inconveniencing. So probably, let's say, base of half an hour, but probably within half an hour to an hour. And you've been down here probably a good 20 minutes already by now, so it's not going to take too long before Casey will naturally wake up.
Not long.
We probably shouldn't leave him down here with the lieutenant.
Leave him down here with the lieutenant. Do it.
Lieutenant Strange, find me something I can tie his hands up with.
Aye, Commander. And Strange just probably has some spare bits of wires.
Yeah, he does by now.
There's some spare wires that aren't doing anything anymore, and he'll just sort of chuck them out from under the table towards the Commander.
We can't take him with us. But if we leave him here with you, then something terrible might happen. And she'll start tying Casey's hands up, and like she will muse more to herself than to the people around. Perhaps it would have been better to have killed him sooner, rather than waiting.
Just gonna roll to notice.
Well, now you start listening to her.
Elrad does not look aside and giggle. Elrad kind of stares at her.
I got a really bad roll on that as well, so...
Roll to care.
Yeah, roll to care. She doesn't care.
I'm sorry, Samuel.
Commander, what's the plan?
You and I will go upstairs to the control panels while Dr. Burov, Lieutenant Strange, and Ensign Casey remain here.
Very well.
Dr. Burov, you are authorized, should Ensign Casey wake up and break free, to
Kill him.
sedate him. Aye, Commander. And you are ordered to render any assistance that Lieutenant Strange requires in order to perform the engineering tasks. Very well, Lieutenant Strange. You have command.
Aye, Commander.
She will take the key
Probably a
card.
fairly visible relief as well from Strange at that point. That's like, oh, finally, bit of peace and quiet. Almost. Instead of these other two.
She will take the key card from Strange and head up.
Yeah, Elrad will fall into step. You get into the lift. The lift goes up with the two of them in it.
Talandra visibly gets in the lift and just kind of stops. Like her posture changes ever so slightly, but it's the Vulcan equivalent of going, ugh.
Oh God, why?
You handled the ensign well.
He was being unreasonable.
He was. You seem concerned as to his survival.
This is not the first time Lieutenant Strange and Ensign Casey have been emotionally tested by a unknown quantity.
You anticipate some specific outcome?
I have never been forced to sedate a member of my crew before. Least of all, Ensign Samuel Casey. If he survives this, I do not believe he will forgive me for what I did.
There's some risk that what you did will be fatal.
No, but I don't feel like we're getting out of this alive. Not all of us.
We have dealt with the physical threats.
We have dealt with the physical threats that we have faced.
No indication of anything other than a malfunctioning agricultural robot.
No, but there is something here that is affecting our minds. All of us. Human, Cardassian.
Which means that we are more likely to be a threat to each other than anything else.
Precisely. Maybe Dr. Burov was wrong about airborne pathogens. Maybe we were the real threats all along.
Commander.
Go, Alrad.
No, your assessment has, I confess, left me at something of a loss for words. Are you saying that you are concerned that he is going to attack the others and they will be forced to kill him?
There is a reason why I tied him up and left him with the crew person who has the sedatives.
Then you have taken a reasonable measure and the situation sounds controlled, not like it is about to turn to disaster.
Should I lash out at you, Girl Elrad? I favor low strikes before high. I am significantly stronger than you, but something tells me that you would probably be able to outpace me if we ended up running. Return to the others and see to it that I am locked out of the energy core.
Do you feel that you are about to lash out at me, Talandra?
No. But I have lost all perspective on what I will do next. I have become volatile and unpredictable. And in this situation, I am aware I pose the greatest threat to this crew. There is a reason my people suppress our emotions so vigorously. Because we were driven to the brink of extinction. And if a Vulcan can kill many other Vulcans, I am sure I shall make short work of 3 humans and a Cardassian. So you shall have to be cleverer than me and hope that by becoming emotional, I also become irrational.
Commander, I perhaps have more faith in your self-control than you do. However, I will not insult you by asking for you to place all of these concerns and fears. You said not an hour ago that you do not succumb to fear.
I am not afraid. I am being pragmatic, that we have no concept of what is going to be thrown at us next, and there is a very real chance that after all of this emotional torment, what comes next is death. Every other person who has been in this facility has died. Some through means that we cannot say, some through violent action. And it may well be that whatever is in the air led those people to kill one another.
Yes. Very well. I will say it's only two things. First is that it sounds as if you are not particularly familiar with fear. Fear often feels very rational. It hides itself within logic, and it demands often inaction. But I cannot tell you not to feel what you feel or not to think what you think. So I will only add this. Whilst I have no intention of allowing the situation to get that far, you have my word that should you become incapable of conducting your duty, should you become a threat, I will do everything in my power to protect your officers and the mission.
Are you willing to kill me?
Yes.
Good. But then perhaps I was confident in my assessment that I do not feel so afraid.
My first point, however, stands.
It is always logical to have a contingency, however.
I am satisfied to be your contingency in this.
You are far more than that, Gal Alrad. You do yourself a disservice.
I was being moderately self-effacing. It comes a little naturally, I fear, but appreciate the gesture. Two of them have probably by now made it through the better part of the agricultural high ground. The lift has got up, they have passed through the corridor, and they have probably by now roughly made it through the bulk of the agricultural section.
Don't check your notes. There's nothing to check notes. No notes.
Always check notes.
The notes say they had a lovely time.
What the fuck is wrong with these two, where their two great romantic moments have thus far been, I'll definitely punch you in the face and I won't even feel bad about it. And will you kill me? Yes.
I ship it.
It was what she needed to hear. I ship it.
That's true love right there.
You be a good
Better than the two chuckle fucks in the basement have got.
So, back to the, well, two
Back
chuckle
to the
fucks and a Burov in the basement.
I'd watch that sitcom.
Speaking of.
2.5 chuckle fucks.
Bum, ba, ba, bum, bum, bum. Bum, 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 ba, ba, bum, bum, ba, ba, bum, bum, ba, ba, bum, bum.
Dr. Burov, what are you doing?
I'm reminded here very much of my home. It's warm, it's cramped, it's underground. No one is quite certain where the air is coming from, and yet it somehow still smells like soup.
Delightful, I'm sure, but I am still trying to concentrate here.
Yes. And you're getting grumpy because you're being affected by whatever is in the air. I suggest powering through it. I can give you an anti-anxiety shot if you wish, but...
No, it's quite all right. You don't need to. Give me an anti-anxiety shot. You just need to shut up for a moment. Please.
A moment became 10 moments, became an hour. And it is only so quiet I can stay throughout.
Could you at least find a different way that's maybe a little quieter to keep yourself occupied?
Aren't you even a little bit curious about why this is happening to us?
Oh, I am absolutely curious. But you know what? I am far more interested in, maybe finding a way of not being trapped in a creepy Cardassian research facility being poisoned with mind-affecting drugs. Again. Well, not again on the Cardassian bit, but you know what I mean.
Oh no, yes, the events of the Decade. I read the file. You have received a lot of hallucinogens in your life, it seems.
Apparently so.
I might have to do some blood work on you when we return to the Iskandar.
I'll be sure to get you to do something like that when we get back to the Iskandar, and I can tell you properly what's happening.
Okay. But I've heard your message, so stay quiet.
Thank you.
They're going to hop over. Hop. I'm having a stroke. They're going to hop up and go to the computer panel.
I thought that was the noise Barov was making. I was about to be like, strange. They're making that noise strange.
I was about to ask, was that icy?
No, that was Izzy. That was Izzy having a moment.
Izzy, not icy.
Okay. Don't you stand on my mouse tray. You're just going to stretch here. Okay, you're a good boy. However, I am going to invoke Interiority's minor event, Hinder.
Hinder in the Hizzle! Wow.
So anyway, what's strange, while you've been trying to work and there's been Burov's scatting and this conversation going on, the cat is left, you realize whatever you were working on for like the last 4 minutes, you were rewiring completely the wrong thing in your distraction. You're gonna have to undo this and put it back together again, and something
Shut up, Michael, you're unconscious
in you feels like it's burning. Everything any member of this team, people of the crew, anyone you've met, but especially members of this team, has ever said to you is lingering, worming its way through your brain.
I mean, that's business as normal for Strange, to be fair, but the burning...
The worst. The worst. And
the
also,
anger is unusual for it.
Yeah, that's it. Usually it just makes Strange go inward, but it feels like something is cooking, and that feels good.
Sorry, I wasn't expecting that last bit, and I don't know why that's caused me to giggle. Yes, back to being angry at things.
Get to work, but not long after Burov shuts up, Sammy boy, you ache, like your spine aches, and then there's that bit where other bits of you hurt, but that probably all comes back to the spine eventually, because spines are weird.
I caught him.
Yeah, but you still did a nerve pinch to knock him out in the first place.
You broke my back to put me to sleep. It was really bad.
Yeah, when he says nerve pinch, what actually happened is like Tilandra just picked you up and like, lifted a knee and just cracked you over the knee.
Baned you.
Yeah. And then just sort of just chucked you in a corner.
So yeah, you wake up. It's hot. You feel sticky. You ache. You're distantly aware of voices.
What happened?
Oh great, you're awake too. Just what I needed.
Good morning, Ensign Casey.
Looking at Strange. What did you do to me?
Me? I did nothing.
No, technically that was the Lieutenant Commander.
See?
Why am I tied up? What happened? What did you do to me?
Well, like we previously said, it wasn't us. We're just set with watching over you. But you have to be quiet while Lieutenant Strange is working.
No, what did you do to me? What has happened to me?
You were being recalcitrant and difficult, and so Lieutenant Commander Tilandra knocked you out. And now you are here, having woken back up. But I must tell you, as a doctor, I am authorized to knock you out again.
Lieutenant Commander Tilandra was acquiescing to my request.
Yes, and then what she did was she nerve pinched you from behind so you wouldn't fuck anything else up.
I wasn't.
Genius subterfuge, really.
I wasn't doing anything wrong. I was figuring this out. He starts to struggle against the bond.
Hey, you'll hurt yourself if you do that, and I only have so many analgesics.
Let me go.
No, I cannot. I am not authorized to do so, given the current circumstances. Plus, I'm worried you might hit me.
I'm not going to hit you. Just let me go.
Well, you might. You're being unreasonable, and I bruise like a peach.
I'm not going to hit you. Let me go.
No, but he might if I do let you go.
Yeah, probably.
Or he might hit you. I'm keeping you safe. We shouldn't even be talking. We're distracting you.
Yes, both of you, shut up!
I'm trying!
Kath, how good of a visual do I have on what Strange is doing?
Fairly decent.
Yeah, probably a very good one.
Okay. I am just.
Whatever it is, I hate it. Whatever it is you're going to do, I hate it.
I can't reach.
Oh.
I can't. I can only see. What you really should have done at that point is extended the trifold plasma relay. About 3 steps back, if I'm any estimate.
Sam.
You want to do this right, don't you?
I am doing this right.
No, unfortunately.
Aside from this one bit here that I am currently rewiring, everything that I've done here
it's time to
fine.
move out of the way. Burrow's going to take hold of Sam's leg and try and pull him away.
He lets it happen.
Slowly, like it's embarrassing for everyone as Casey is dragged slowly so he can't see.
Burrow's very weak, but luckily Casey's quite light.
Yeah, and Burrow's got all the time in the world, and if Casey isn't fighting back, it happens. It just happens slowly.
No, it's just kind of dragged. No, it's okay. I've seen everything I need to see.
Okay. Let's stop riling up the nice engineer and let's maybe come over here and be quiet for a bit.
I mean, personally, if I was rewiring the particle regulator...
No, personally. Lieutenant Strange, you're doing a great job.
Don't really great job if you consider an inverted phase macro neuron.
I don't even know what that means.
If I'm honest, the whole thing needs to be...
Shut up! Burov, shut up. You're not even here. Sam! Ensign, I do not need you to backseat engineer for me. I do not need you to be constantly commenting on everything that I am doing.
Looking at the mess you made of the discriminator, I think you do.
Got a lot of tools in that kit, Adam.
Now, Lieutenant Strange, you just said something a little bit concerning.
Yes, that's the ensign is continuing to make my life difficult. And that is pretty concerning.
However,
you're absolutely right.
The thing I'm a little more concerned about is the fact that you think I don't exist.
Oh no, you exist. You're just still in the Iskandar. You're not actually here, but that's fine. We'll deal with that problem later once we've dealt with this one and this problem that's here in front of me on the floor.
Lieutenant Strange,
it's a positronic discriminator, by the way, not an ionic discriminator. That's the major error.
I know that.
Really?
Ensign. Yes, I do. Because contrary to your belief, I am actually capable of doing my damn job. And I have no idea why you insist constantly that I am incapable of doing anything at all. Why, for months, you have commented on every single little thing that I have ever done. But what bothers me more is that you stopped for a few weeks and what? You couldn't hide your contempt any longer? Is that it? Or is it just Now, you never actually stopped hating me and thinking that I'm useless and knowing that you're better than me, which, yes, okay, you probably are.
Adam, the only thing I have contempt for is what you've done with the wiring on the relay. He does not smile.
That's always the kind of comment that you always made. It's always just, the wiring on the relay, the setup of that switch, the routing of that power conduit. It was always just little things that you could never resist commenting on. And okay, fine. Yes, you maybe for some things, quite a lot of things, you probably do know better than me, but just once, could you just put aside the fact that you think that I am incapable of doing things, the fact that you think that I'm worthless, and just let me get on with things. Just once. And then when we're back on the Iskandar, you can go back to commenting on everything I'm doing. You can go back to reminding me constantly that I'm not the best engineer that the Iskandar has ever had.
No, you're not.
But for 5 fucking minutes, would it kill you to not mention it?
It's going to take you longer than 5 minutes to fix that discriminator.
Probably, yes. All I'm asking for right now is 5 minutes of not being reminded every second.
Oh, I understand. You think I'm going to do that? I'm not.
No, I don't think you're going to do that. I think I'm going to do it. And that you're going to just let me get on with it.
No. I think I've got a perfectly good mental map of pretty much every mistake that I wouldn't have made in your situation from that little bit of time I spent looking under there. And I think I could probably estimate what your next moves are. So everything that you do next is going to be commented on by me. And what's worse is, if you continue and I get it wrong, then I'm just going to tell you the right steps that I would have taken. And we'll just take it from there. Alternatively, and this is a decent, I think, alternate plan, you let me go, you let me work, and you can spend the time cooling down instead of me.
How far back down the corridor has Casey been dragged at this point?
I think just to the mouth of the corridor. Or
just to the mouth of the corridor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Burov at this point has moved away and is...
Yeah, Burov literally
has gone, in fact.
Once I stopped talking, left the room.
Okay, yeah. Burov...
Where has Burov gone?
If you look around more and pay more attention, a lot of things which Strange probably will have figured, will have acknowledged, is that there is a bit more to this level, but it looks as if it will be the power core, the air filtrated processors, any of these other large bits of equipment, and there are more like access corridors and narrow tunnels which lead, narrow crawl spaces which lead off to it. Strange doesn't think at present he actually needs to go near any of them. He should be able to get everything he needs done from there. But Burov has headed off in the direction of what looks like, in fact, has disappeared through an access crawlway, which looks like it's probably towards the ventilation system. But the thing is, they're gone. They're gone.
They're in the vents. They're in the goddamn walls.
They probably could get into the vents from where they're going, is your best guess. But they're getting to the air processor and air processing and ventilation systems is your assumption from the sounds in that direction. But things you can't even hear them anymore.
Yeah, I can't hear them. I can't see them. As far as I'm concerned, the hallucinations have just stopped for a bit.
Their boots are right next to you still. But since my last message to Kath was they would like to crawl out of their own skin rather than be in the middle of this argument. Like, they could have just merged with the wall for all we know.
So what point did were you two just at? As I was briefing Izzy. As Burov crawls into the walls.
So, yeah, Borov crawls into the walls. Where had we got to in the argument?
He was indicating that.
Actually, no, he is going to comment on every single little thing that's happening because he knows he's right.
And basically let him go, or he will keep doing it, driving you insane.
Driving me insane. Stranger's going to at least attempt to go back and actually, do some work rather than wasting any more time on Casey.
Okay. What have I got? I am going to allow. I don't have the aspects up, but I'm going to invoke the minor event help from
what?
a Hyperion to help
Brigade.
Adam Strange make some progress for a little bit on his work. And the thing is, he just gets to a point, manages to dig in and just block out the outside world.
Engineers then.
Yeah, it's all gone. Even Casey is just, for a good long time, nothing but a background buzz. We just finally got into the Zen. Like, periodically you start to rise out of it, but when you come up for mental air, it's a bit like he's frustrating, but he's hit that irrelevance almost like a gnat. This place is warm, and while it is frustrating, you also have a job to do. You have equipment to work on. You have a puzzle which you can solve. You're making progress. This place is comfortable in that awful way. This is the tiny thing in this awful sea that you can control and affect. That is comforting. Besides, who knows what else is down here is real. So, back up to Talandra and Elrad, who can get to the original console on the second level. Indeed, that level now has a that is indeed a light on this panel, which there was not before. Elrad is going to, unless stopped in any way, take the lead, move to the panel, touch it, display comes to life. Yes, it just seems as if I need to simply activate the power protocol on this level, as now there is power back. He touches a few commands, and the lights were back to life.
Small mercies.
Ventilation system kicks up a notch. Yeah, still feels warm and humid. It's still Cardassian.
Warm, though, is big for Talandra.
Yeah. First floor.
Yes.
Are you alright?
Just hadn't realised how cold I was.
It was rather unpleasant, especially in some of the agricultural levels, but I confess I was a little more used to it after the surface being so unpleasant.
I feel it aboard the Iskandar most of all. So many of the public areas are kept at an ambient temperature that's just far too cold.
Well, of course, I imagine you have a predominantly human crew, and they seem to like everything cold and arid.
Did you know that in some of the refractory spaces, they will often have air circulating that is deliberately cold?
Why?
Apparently the air requires conditioning, which seems ridiculous that the air filtration system is doing an adequate job keeping allergens and spores out of the air. But they apparently like it. Cold air on their faces when they're trying to eat.
But you have such thick uniforms. Why don those and then demand that the ambient temperature is so uncomfortable?
It is more that the ambient temperature is to be set for the overall comfort of the crew. There are precious few Vulcans and no Cardassians aboard the Iskandar, nor any races that are better suited to the heat.
Must be very uncomfortable being an outlier in that way.
I would not say uncomfortable, but it is something I am constantly aware of.
I can imagine that you probably find this facility somewhat too humid, but Vulcan's a very dry world, if I understand correctly.
Yes. You are thinking of something?
Nothing in the slightest bit serious.
Well, I think perhaps is a perfectly appropriate time for levity, given our potential impending demise.
Given our potential impending demise, yes. Well, it's only that I never quite got around to finishing While the Sun Sets.
Indeed.
I must admit, I was not sure what I expected from the book. I am not familiar with... You sent me precious little fiction of Vulcan. I understand, considering our potential impending demise, is this simply a story of two friends finding one another through their work, their shared duty and commitment? I understand that there is a significant amount of subtext, which I feel I am lacking some of the cultural sensitivity to understand, and which I'm sure would have some clarity if I had the chance to finish the book. But I've thus far been only observing their research project as a metaphor for their relationship.
Yes. The research project is intended both to be metaphorical as well as the literal project that I believe is the framing device of the novel. The purpose of it is that although they must spend a great deal of their time in very close proximity, they both respect the sanctity of privacy.
I had been wondering if there was some significance in the fact that they infringe on another's privacy, and occasionally accept it. And I recognize that was a significant step, but they were often... I could not understand if there was meant to be tension and disagreement due to the... I'm not often familiar with the way Vulcans will express this sort of dissatisfaction with one another.
The intention is that Adenkar is outgoing and gregarious through his repeated use of the breaking of silence, whereas Talok, by playing music, is respecting the silence, but he is also respecting Adenkar's wishes in bringing noise to a space that they both share. The fact is that their love develops through finding a harmony between the two of them, whilst also maintaining the vital importance of the scientific pursuit that they're both assembled for. It's a very moving love story.
See, I had found it somewhat unclear I had not been entirely sure if it was a romantic story.
I suppose you and I do not share the same cultural touchstones, but...
I suspected.
When Tlaloc plays Fmak Shoka, that's a song about relationships.
I appreciated and sometimes I suppose Cardassian literature could be very tiresome in these ways, as if it was a Cardassian love story, then they would have been fighting. They would have been arguing about being confined in the same place, as that is certainly within literary fiction of the most traditional Cardassian flirtation is you pick fights with one another, as that is how one tests that you can stand against each other and then build something together, is the conceit of it.
On the contrary, I believe Adenkar and Tlaloc's disagreement about research practices clearly indicates that they come from varied scientific backgrounds and are both bringing different things to their project.
Yes, as I say, I had not been I had suspected, but not being as familiar with the various literary traditions or familiar with such Vulcan romances, it was unclear.
Why would arguing indicate attraction?
Truthfully, it is not actually a something which comes easily to me. It is a very traditional approach. It is, I suppose I'm fairly traditional, but it is not something which I have found has come as I prefer. The concept is that you will state your mind, and you would state your mind very plainly to another person, which is demonstration of respect. If you can disagree with one another, then that means that you respect one another enough to speak your mind and not simply seek to be pleased. The confrontation is a means by which you can understand one another. You push one another. You demonstrate to this person that you wish to see their mettle. I would say boundaries, but it is not intended to be intrusive so much as a challenge.
I believe Lieutenant Vance explained something similar to me regarding the security and tactical staff, that sometimes they will say things to one another that is intended to be supportive, but will come across as unpleasant to those who are not part of the social group. I believe he called it banter.
I'm familiar with Terran banter, but I must admit, I sometimes find that particular elements of the more militarized Starfleet esprit de corps mildly confusing.
Yes, I have never fully grasped the human desire to say things to your loved ones that are intended to be supportive, but are in fact the opposite. I understand the concept of sarcasm and irony, but I've never fully comprehended its use in day-to-day conversation.
Oh, it's not necessarily intended as ironic for the Cardassians. As I say, you speak your mind. Just the other person, the person who can meet you blow for blow verbally, is someone who is suitable.
Does it not get tiresome to disagree with someone for whom you have attraction?
I personally find it to be the case, yes. As I say, it is not a school of socializing which I have been particularly comfortable with. That particular approach to women.
Well, it is far easier, perhaps, on Vulcan.
What do you do on Vulcan?
Traditionally, your match is chosen for you by your parents.
And otherwise?
Some choose their own spouses through socializing. As with Ankar and Tlaloc. Sorry to spoil the novel.
Well, we might die down here.
Yes, we may well die down here. In which case, it is decided that Tlaloc, upon the realization that not the science aspect, but upon realizing that he was wrong about something important, he approaches Adenkar and realizes that should they finish their research project, they will have to return to their separate fields, and that the idea of not working together would be abominable for him. And would it be appropriate if they were married? But most of the time, many Vulcans either do not have the time or the inclination to perform the rituals of finding a partner the way that humans often do.
Yes, they do seem quite obsessed with it. I understand the benefits of one's family finding a match. Your family should generally know one best and make these decisions.
And on Vulcan, engagements can last for a very long time.
Oh, I see. You reach the top floor and the first lobby area. There is the original console. Elred will approach it. Power it up. The lights come flooding on. And on this console, the first display is an alert. A priority 1 message has been left for the user.
Is this standard?
No. You play it. A video comes up. This exact room, but much newer, much cleaner. A gaunt Cardassian man stares back at you, wearing a jumpsuit like all the other inmates. My name is Brevin, inmate 98. Recording on, he gives a date, it is approximately 15 years after the facility opened. 22 years ago, I was convicted for sedition against the Cardassian state. I led a workers' revolt against the government, ownership of the power systems in the wake of planetary unification. And for this, I was sentenced to life imprisonment. About 15 years ago, I was offered a chance to transfer from a maximum security facility to the Wayfarer facility. I was informed that it was an off-world penal colony of serious but non-violent offenders who have the chance to be self-sufficient and self-governing, so that we could be productive members of society and that good behavior would lead to a chance of parole and release. I know now that this was a lie. The Wayfarer facility is not a prison, it is a research station with the 104 inmates as research subjects. For the past 15 years, different individuals and groups at different times and rates have been affected by some psychotropic drugs routed, we believe, via the ventilation systems, primarily in confined and controllable spaces, we suspect mostly the elevators. After the first 3 years of relative harmony, one of our number one day broke into an uncontrollable violent rage and murdered another. We had to confine him in a room. Eventually he seemed recovered. We let him out. He later took his own life. It has only escalated since then. Individuals have demonstrated massive bouts of paranoia and irrational behavior. It came in waves, leading to violent deaths, but there have also been multiple incidents of suicide in isolated incidents. At one point, the paranoia and anger induced in our populace led to a massive power struggle and an outbreak of violence. The death toll was huge, almost half of our number. And it's continued like this until there are hardly any of us left. This has also included the facility itself turning on us. At times of great paranoia, our agricultural systems have malfunctioned, leading to limited supplies and fear of starvation. In times of great anger, minor systems have routinely misbehaved, exacerbating frustration and sometimes escalating it to violent rage. There are programs at work in this facility specifically to provoke and manipulate emotional responses. We have to be being recorded, and these findings must be being transmitted back to Cardassia. I don't know why. I don't know why they left us down here like rats in a maze to be tormented until we die, but I know that they're not coming for us. I don't believe that I'm afflicted by anything right now, but it becomes so self-justifying. It's difficult to tell. Our doctor, Jalen, was trying to figure out how to counteract the drugs with what we had in the infirmary, but she was murdered before anything came of it, and since then we've not had anyone who could even start to figure out any kind of counteragent, and our examination of the ventilation systems can't find where the drugs are coming from. They might be in the air reprocessors, and if we mess with them, we'll probably suffocate down here. And besides, now it's just me. And I don't know how this is going to end. Whoever finds this, if you're part of the people who did this to us, fuck you. You tortured and murdered us for your own gains. If you're not, and if you're finding this and we were forgotten about, please let this injustice be known. Or our people will do this again. I know they will. I don't know how this is going to end. And the recording stops.
Is there any means by which she can download the words, the video, onto like her tricorder or something?
Tricorder's not working, but possibly from the pads.
Oh yeah.
Elrad has backed away from the console.
Halandra does not look at him because she was quite close. She doesn't turn. She's going to focus on getting one of the pads and trying to preserve the video footage as best she can.
She'll have to leave and retrace and go back to the living quarters. That's the last place that's the closest place she would have. Oh no, she was picking them up. Yeah, you've got one. Yeah, you can get that done. You can save it onto one of their pads.
And she'll take a few seconds of doing that before she turns to look at him.
He is stood next to the rows of seats. His shoulders are squared, his fists are clenched. He is staring at the bolted benches and seating.
It seems, given the circumstances, you ought express yourself.
I'm quite sure I'd break my foot on these benches.
It is quite certain. However, that cabinet would probably sustain a few kicks if you wished to.
He turns on his heel, goes to the cabinet, and first he kicks it, then he basically starts to dismantle this piece of fucking furniture. He grabs it, he punches it, he ends up ripping off one of the doors and beating it with it. He lets out a bellow of rage, and then he drops this door and just hunches in. Have we always been this wretched?
There is not a place in the entire galaxy that has not had darkness in its history.
We have darkness. That may have been recorded 400 years ago. You know where I was 10 years ago? Anything about my people which isn't built on blood. We have not taken whoever we could, stepped on their backs, 400 years, we haven't changed.
From what I have been able to gather from my very surface gleams of your society and its development, you have been stuck in a cycle. But the very fact that you think this indicates that there is at least someone who has the capacity to change.
And why do you think I'm here, Commander? Or out near the border with Talarian space? Because no one in the government wants to hear my opinions.
Perhaps not. But what was it that was in that novel you sent me? Ari Pralam. War was the greatest leveler. Cardassia needed to be brought low, that it would know what it means to be frightened of the rest of the galaxy. The war was a terrible thing, but it has erased a great many power structures that Cardassia had come to rely on, unhealthily.
And more still.
It took my people driving themselves to the brink of extinction to realize what we had become.
We have never experienced anything like what we did in the Dominion War.
The Dominion War was horrific, but it happened. And as one should not swim against the tide, I believe the course of history is changing.
And history is not a tide, a power that will work its way regardless. It will come about through action and choice.
Starfleet has already taken a great interest in this. The Federation's interest in maintaining peace.
Peace.
After the war, aid came from the Federation.
Will my people take it? We are a proud people.
Yes. And stubborn. And at times difficult. And intransigent and painfully illogical.
Yes, thank you, Commander.
But upstairs, no, where are we? Downstairs. There is a member of my crew who has every reason to hate Cardassians for what they did to their family before the war. And they don't. They made the decision not to.
I have committed myself these past 4 years to trying to make Cardassia better. Longer ago, slightly longer ago, thought it did not particularly matter whether or not it was a better Cardassia. Thought it did not particularly matter if I was there to see it be a better Cardassia.
Whilst we must be willing to sacrifice ourselves for the good of others, it should not be our primary goal. I believe I held the same opinion as you. I lost everyone in the war. I believed that I was unfit to remain in Starfleet and had already drafted the resignation of my commission. I had decided that winning the war wasn't enough and that Starfleet would have to carry on without me. I didn't care.
What changed?
I received a communication from Ensign Samuel Casey, the lone survivor of the destruction of the USS Cousteau, who had served under Lieutenant Commander Varon. And my father had written to me about him on a number of occasions. He was his shining protege. And he was just asking to meet. He was such a gifted boy. I could see why my father liked him immediately. And so when I received his communication, I had a decision to make. Two weeks later, I was transferred and promoted. It is remarkable how these tiny interactions can change the course of our lives, and in so change the course of history.
Yes.
And although I have no family whatsoever to speak of, I have the Iskandar. I have Ensign Casey. I have my captain. And even if I feel sometimes like I have no purpose beyond the function of my rank, sometimes that is enough.
Sometimes it's, when I say all we have, that sounds, sometimes it is everything.
I resonated very, very much with some of the messages in The Never-Ending Sacrifice. That one lives in service to something bigger than oneself. That the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one. In that, I fear we both agree.
Yes. Forgive me, I promised years ago. Of course, there are no graves for anyone lost on the Cardassian city. The Jem'Hadar ships bombarded it from orbit. Their efforts of rebuilding a memorial. I don't think you can put several million names on a memorial. I still there promised my family, my wife and my son, that I would do everything in my power to make Cardassia better, because I had not acted when I had the chance. I did not join the resistance of Legate Damar. And the most crushing irony is I did not do that because I feared for my family. They hunted down his and killed his. And as the Cardassian fleet gathered in orbit to face off against the joint task force of the Allied Federation, Romulan, Klingon fleets, word came that the Cardassian city was gone. And then, only then, did I give the order to act. So I held myself back for nothing.
You could not have predicted what would happen.
No. No one thought the Dominion would do that.
It is important that we carry our burdens with us only so long as they are useful reminders.
Yes. And I'm not quite so beaten down as I feel in this moment, I know. But it is just a reminder of how far we have to come, and yet another sin we must atone for. I imagine if we go to see Lieutenant Strange, he might be able to get us out of this place now.
Why do I get a dreadful knot in my stomach, thinking that that isn't true?
And we shall have to make it so.
You are quite correct.
And they head off, and that's where we're going to take a break.
I'm going to go have a lie down for a day.
Which I thought we were going to take this break earlier, but then we carried on.
There were feelings.
There were
had,
feelings.
Kath. Like,
Yes.
you can't have a break until after you've had feelings.
Yeah.
You've got to leave. You've got to make room so you can have more feelings after the break.
I have a I have a
Back
major hinder in
shortly.
my heart.
Hey, we're back to
Sup?
What You Are in the Dark. Hope you're having fun. But speaking of what indeed one may or may not be in the dark,
Stop
down
that. I've put some lights on.
in the computer core, Adam Strange.
Mm-hmm.
You've got some flow. Focused on your work. You're making progress. That feels good.
Mm-hmm.
Every once in a while, Sam Casey shifts. Bit frustrating. But you've generally got a grip on what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Sam Casey, are you saying anything? No.
No, I can hear you.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
Yep, I was.
We apologise for the inconvenience.
Adam has stopped responding to my attempts to antagonize him. And so I'm shifting gears now to textbook recital of technical manuals that I've memorized. Just things that I know by rote that are attempts to throw him off, just because of the mediocrity of it.
and all the while you're trying to wriggle yourself free.
Yes.
Okay. Make me... I was thinking about this all along, and I really can't come up with anything, I guess, better than an athletics check. It's not ideal, so I'm going to set it at a difficulty of 2.
6.
Okay.
He's athletic. He goes
Yes,
rock
skinny
climbing.
boy.
He is, which does mean that he's gonna successfully, eventually, start to break free of his bonds. But I have interiority's minor event hinder.
Kinder.
So, strange. We've discussed a bit where
Mm-hmm.
but it does mean that he's still very, very aware. And while Casey is, for the moment, irrelevant, for the moment you're shutting him out, Strange reckons he's probably quite close. Like, a lot of the power is coming back on. Power is coming up on across the facility.
Mm-hmm.
It'll take quite a bit more work for him to be able to... He's pretty much isolated where the dampening field is, which he reckons will be probably be the easier thing to cut the power to.
Mm-hmm.
That's just going to take a bit of work, but he knows what needs to be done. He's on the final stretch.
Okay.
But that's when he hears a faint hiss from one of the sealed cabinets on the wall, as it just sort of slides open. Just pops open.
Strange is going to go see what
Okay.
fresh distraction is this place giving me now?
Casey, you've wriggled your hands free. And as you're considering what to do, Strange seems to notice something, gets up, and walks towards this cabinet. He's got his back to you. Strange looks into this containment drawer, and there, inset, like, looking at it, it's interesting because it doesn't look as if it has any external means of opening it. It looks as if something has triggered,
Some
and this
kind of
drawer
release
has
mechanism.
opened, and set into foam are two old but well-preserved weapons, ancient Cardassian slug throwers, a rifle and a sidearm, and some sort of headset. They're right there in front of you. Casey, Adam's bent over this drawer.
Standing or crouched?
Standing over it. It's kind of a, like, he can, yeah.
Waist height,
Yeah, about
I'd
waist
say.
height, yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
cool. I need to kick him in the back of the knee.
Okay, you get to up to, are you trying to be discreet, or are you trying to...
No, I've got to rush him. There's no time to waste.
Strange.
Mm-hmm.
You hear the thudding footsteps of a threat coming up behind you, and there is a gun in front of you.
Grab it.
Okay.
And yeah,
We're gonna have an opposed fight and phases check.
Cool. Let me find my character sheet. Cool. Okay.
Mike, what do you get?
1.
0.
However, I'm invoking, because at this point I have decided, after mulling over how in PvP this works, that strange is a problem. And so lose minor redeeming this minor event hinder for that +2 or reroll Emily's choice.
And I'm gonna take. Oh, do I want to take the roll? Or the
+2 is a guaranteed hit.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm gonna take the guaranteed hit. I'm gonna take that +2 to my flat 0 into a 2, which is one higher than a 1.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Sammy boy. As you rush him, he turns and fucking shoots you.
Dicks.
He only survived by 1 shift. However, this is a +1 weapon, so enjoy a 2-point shift, which I'm aware is only going to be a stress box. However, I'm going to ask you to take a 1 shift mental stress box, because what the fuck, he's got a gun.
Your boyfriend's got a gun now. And has shot you.
Okay, yeah. You turn, runs, strange pivots, and like it's a stress box. But the bullet only kind of clips you, and it is a bullet.
Fuck.
Bullet. It is loud. It is deafening. This is an old slug. Yeah, the phasers, the dampening field's not letting the phasers work. But an old slug thrower, this fucking bullet clips Casey's shoulder.
Just explosives and
over the top.
A projectile. Computers can't stop that. That's just basic physics. He doesn't say that.
Yeah.
This is me. I just thought I'd clarify because that sounds like a thing he'd say I see right now.
So yeah, that's it. Split second, that happens, staggers you. Casey is a few feet away near the passageway near the corridor towards the lift. Strange is on the opposite side. Go beyond the computer console, but has this gun. And how calm is what's Strange doing?
So like this is the kind of the facial expression. It's quite a calm looking anger that he's got here. And he's pointing back. Has Casey kind of like staggered to the floor or something?
He would have staggered back from the impact, and this is all within a matter of like a second. He's still on,
so
Casey is
bang,
still on his feet.
bang in the shoulder. So now Strange is leveling that gun straight at Casey's head.
Okay, that colours what I do next. Yes.
You are quite close to the corridor, Casey.
Before the gun is raised to his head, that kind of anger is still there. Of I'm gonna push through this, but seeing the gun raise, Casey will try and run down the corridor. That tight, cramped corridor to that elevator shaft. He is now going to try and get on the elevator.
Casey bolts for the corridor just out of your line of sight, Strange. What do you do?
I don't know. I'm just... calm yourself. Let me describe the scene here. So, yeah, Stranger's expression doesn't change from that kind of flat, ice-cold anger. He's had enough of this endless frustration getting in the way of his work, of what he is trying to do. He knows how machines work.
Mhm.
In many ways, this is just another machine. He needs to find the off switch for it. So he very calmly walks so that he's got a clear line of sight down that corridor. You can see Casey running down it. You can see his back. Lowers the gun from being a headshot because just for practicalities, really, aiming for a much larger target of Casey's back. And he fires.
Okay. I'm effectively gonna give the aspect confined target with 1 free invocation to Strange.
Mm-hmm.
So can I get an athletics check from Casey and another phasers check
from me.
from Strange, please? So
I'd
you
like to
can
go second
with a
this
free
time.
reroll or a free +2.
I've got 3.
I've got -1.
I'm going to leave that invocation for later in case I need to shoot him again.
Well, only if he's in a confined space is the thing. It's just in this particular situation where you have it.
Sure, but he's still in the confined space right now after I've shot him.
That's
I might
true.
need to shoot him again.
So that's a success by 4. That's 5 shift success, Mike.
I need to take a 6 consequence.
Don't you have a level 1 physical stress box?
I had 2 stress.
Stresses recover at the end of a scene.
Oh, nice.
So any stresses that you had up from the robot fight, you've got back. Remember?
Okay, that's how many. What was my first hit?
First hit 2.
Okay.
So you can probably take a moderate if you use 1 stress and you're moderate.
Yeah.
In Fate, you can take you can take various stress boxes to offset the damage before it goes straight to your consequences, which are the more serious injuries. So
you give me a location that reflects a moderate gunshot wound.
As opposed to a minor gunshot.
We're still in the world of drama, so hero spot.
Okay.
Is
yeah, I'm just trying to map it out. So, like, the first bullet was like a glancing to the shoulder.
Yeah, it was real kind of skimmed, like it didn't.
Yeah, really kind of skimmed one. So this one is a proper like through the shoulder sort of job. Right.
My action.
Not sorry, Izzy. Would do it again.
I need to press this elevator button because I'd like to get on it, please. This is not done calmly. He is wailing.
Oh God! I mean, Adam still doesn't care, but you know.
Yeah, you run. You have been in a confined, dark space. A shot rings out. There is blazing pain in your shoulder, and the lift feels like it is fucking miles away. But it's not that far. It's not that far. You slam into the lift. Make me an athletics check. I am going to go for another. No, I'm going to spend. What do you get, Mike?
4.
4. Okay. With that, I am also going to spend. There is a help from the model railway man, which I will redeem, so that Strange does not get a chance to get another shot off before. Like it goes. In fact, you slam into the lift, Casey. You hit the door. You're kind of trying to
and then it just
flush
pings off
against
the door.
side, and as the door shut, the bullet pings. The lift does shut, and the lift starts to rise.
He drops to the floor in a state of shock, and starts to hyperventilate.
Yeah, that's a reasonable reaction, buddy. I'm strange. Lift's gone up. I will get to you, but I want to know what Strange is going to do next.
There's no really much point in him pursuing, because that's not what he's interested in right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, unless you're about to say something
all I was
otherwise.
No. I'll let you.
No,
leave you for the moment.
Oh. Well, you were going to say something, I interrupted. And if you were going to say things, that's usually making everything worse, which is great.
Okay. To be fair, Strange is a smart boy, and he will have noticed, even if he grabbed a gun.
Mm-hmm.
He's pretty sure that headset will look as if it included some night vision.
Oh, God! Well, then.
Have to look at it to see what else it's got.
Yeah.
But he knows.
Oh, that's
technology.
obviously interesting. So yeah,
Mhm.
okay, we'll go and have a look at what else was in this drawer, because the last thing he was doing before Casey rudely interrupted him was looking at what was in this mysterious drawer.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So yeah, let's go have a look at the headset.
There's the rifle, bigger, bulkier. Always good in confined spaces. Bit more firepower. And the headset. Examine it.
Have a look.
Take a look. Switch it on.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Yeah, it's got a few modes. It has a night vision mode.
Mm-hmm.
Also has a heads-up display with access to limited controls over some of the facility things.
Oh, lovely.
Now,
That'd
most
be
of it
useful.
appears to be like, locking the doors or unlocking doors you don't have access for that. That's
Could
a
I
bit much.
make it have access for that?
I
Or
mean,
is
if
that
you were to get to work a bit more on the computer systems down here,
Mm-hmm.
it could, because the other option, it does appear, because you've got access and control now to the power. So
Yeah.
you could cut the power, including the lights.
Okay, well, that's useful to know.
Immediately, you could cut the power with the lights and have your night vision goggles and your gun.
Okay.
Or you could probably spend more time down here in the computer core and see about getting yourself some more access and rewiring things to get yourself a bit more computer access over the various facility controls.
Yeah, that sounds like it might be useful.
Okay. Settle down. Start to take a
I'll
look.
have a
at
bit of a
the
tinker.
controls, which is good, because also now you can see, now properly looking at it, definitely both of the power sections have been turned on. There is power everywhere in the facility.
Mm-hmm.
Full power. That's good. That gives you, that looks like it's actually going to be a bit easier even to, you might not get the full computer control access to control everything, because that would include lifting the lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
But there's more stuff here which you now theoretically, which the computer systems are on for, which you could theoretically get access to.
Mm-hmm.
That'll take some time.
Okay.
Adam Strange settles down to take some time. Dr. Burov.
Hi, Izzy.
I would like to not leave the walls ever. How much? No. So obviously, Burov's heard the gunshots. How much of the situation does Burov understand?
Burov will have got a fairly decent way in and will have been crawling through difficult access points. It's almost as if, I mean, Burov's not an engineer, but it's almost as if this is designed to not really make it easy for anyone to get at the ventilation systems. Funny that. So they've crawled through a good long section of it, and then they're looking at the large air reprocessing equipment, which Burov doesn't really understand anyway, but could be trying to go, okay, is there an intake section? Is there, if there's something in the air, where is the piping leading? Which I'm assuming is what Burov was trying to figure out.
For the record, Burov is a better engineer than they are most other situations.
Okay, so yeah, certainly from that, then being able to go, well, that's definitely not an intake, that's just to vent. So
like, actually, more
Not
helpfully,
squishy.
more helpfully, they're not a Starfleet engine here. but I imagine 400-year-old Cardassian technology is much more their speed than we need you to fix the replicators.
We're in a little bit more of a diesel punk kind of scenario here. Make me an engineering check then. Difficulty. It's just difficulty 1. Yes, Aid Brigade and Hinderkinder. If you wish to assist Adam Strange is now part of the Hinderkinder, and everyone else is part of the Aid Brigade.
Hinderkinder!
That is a 4. Interesting. Yeah, it has probably you can figure out that there is something here on this air reprocessing and air ventilation system which is very small but shouldn't be in there. You can find a pipe. You're like, why is this intake section here? You can follow this piping. The annoying thing is it does look as if whatever tank it might be coming from is like, there is a section of paneling and pipes, and there is something beyond there where there just isn't. It has been built up so no one could get personal access to it. But you're pretty sure that you've at the very least isolated the piping section from some foreign agent to be piped into the ventilation system. That's when you hear a fucking, well, what sounds like a piece of machinery or equipment seriously backfiring once. And then again and again, and it echoes. It is loud. You will probably have heard, certainly between the second and third shots, distant sounds of people. There was no raised voices. This definitely wasn't anger, but there was maybe a yelp, maybe a scream. It's hard to tell. And it's the same noises of the machinery down here.
Is Arcady content that they have isolated the gas successfully? Or were they in the process of when the gun startled them, or the bang startled them?
They know where it is, but they haven't just figured out what to do about it. They have located it. I will actually give you, because you succeeded with style, a boost for any interfacing with, any further interacting with the ventilation system.
Hello? That's a long way back. They're going to strain their ears for the sounds of Strange or Casey going, Dr. Burrow, pipe fur, we need you. And if none of that is forthcoming, they are going to turn their attention back to what they were doing, because heading back would be a task.
Okay.
So they are now looking at the situation ahead of them and working on the basis that they are 5'5" and a twig, and crawling in tight spaces is not new to them. So they are going to be trying to actively look for a way to the danger gas.
Okay. Okay, or to actually physically get to that spot. Okay. That is going to be a little time consuming just to physically work your way through. Okay, make me an athletics check, and the degrees of success I will with the difficulty 1, and the degrees of success will affect basically how long it's going to take.
Okay, I would like to start by tagging Proud Redacted of Require Minor, because this is their life, crawling around in a mining colony.
Five. Okay, so you succeed by with 3 shifts.
Skinny legend.
4 shifts. Okay, it's going to take you a bit to get through, but like
they don't have shoes on either, so it'll make scooching around easier. And all the while, they will be listening in case that was actually machinery and they're about to die. But they are brave, and they are resigned to the fact that they're probably going to die.
My pens aren't working.
Well, Arkady, no one lives forever. Except,
Especially not Sam Casey.
Space amoeba.
Especially not Sam Casey.
Hello, kitten. Are you here to help?
No, he's here to hinder.
Sorry.
Hinder kitten.
I love my
That's
blotter
strong.
paper. Get off my mouse tray. You will break it.
What is a mouse tray?
Oops, that's
It's a
all right.
tray with mice in.
All right.
There's a tray which comes out, extends off the side of my desk for the mouse, but he broke it once before because he kept using it as his go-between between my desk and the windowsill.
Duh, Mike.
Whoa.
Sorry, just better noting down.
Noting down. Casey dies. Arkady does very well and saves the day.
Noting
Strange.
down what helps and hinders I have because I think I'm going to need them slightly more potentially more rapid fire.
Spend them points.
But yeah, I'm treating them as free invocations and bonuses or to either side right now. Thank you, Fate. It's real easy to give people very minor advantages. Adam Strange is at work.
Mm-hmm.
Where's he put the rifle and the
Oh,
gun?
he's
What's he
still
done
sat-
with the guns?
He's still sat next to the drawer, so he's still
Yeah.
got. So if this that's what kind of is. So he's probably sat on the floor with the headset while
Yeah.
he's doing his tinkering.
Mhm.
But he's got like the sidearms kind of by his right,
Mhm.
because that's his dominant hand.
Yeah. Okay.
And the rifle is still in the drawer,
Mhm.
but he could reach it from here because the drawer's like here.
Yes. Yeah. Cool. Getting to work. Sam Casey. The lift reaches the top. Your shoulder is throbbing. You feel lightheaded.
Rather feebly through the blood loss, he's wrestling with two thoughts, and neither of them are coherent. Neither of them really make sense other than to him. One being, I need to leave this facility. The other being, I can't be followed. What kind of mechanism does this lift use?
It's just one. Well, it's just got one control panel. With just a simple up-down.
But shorting that would only theoretically short it on this level. It would still be accessible downstairs.
Yeah, he'd be able to summon it. He might not then be able to make it go back up, but also he's an engineer. Like, sabotaging lifts is difficult.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like this.
Even lift.
Whoa, whoa, hey, whoa. It's like he's so struggling between like the roleplay effects that are going on with him and like his survival instinct of getting the fuck out of here. But a quick glance over at the lift and kind of fighting back the urge to collapse or to vomit. He might just start staggering away and through the long grass.
You stagger whimpering into the long grass. And just go for away. Commander Talandra and Gull Elrad.
I'm so glad everything's going to be fine when we get back. I recall in the last scene, Talandra saying she had a bad feeling about whatever was going on. How is she the fucking Cassandra of this game? At least I don't feel afraid. Well,
And after all that time he spent talking about how much Sam Casey means to you, now he's been shot!
motherfucker!
I'll destroy everything you love.
Alas, she's walking back, feeling a bit brighter.
Good. Elrad and Talandra can make it to the lift down to the second level. And when they get to the annoying maze-like or just to the just through the other side of the annoying maze-like boxes, they can hear the sound of someone like heavy breathing and whimpering as they are as someone is staggering through the tall grass towards them.
I imagine they do the look that you do when you think something's about to attack you and sort of separate out and be defensive.
Yep. Race and comes staggering out through the long grass out of the agricultural section is a bloodied, battered, clutching his left shoulder, Sam Casey.
Casey.
For drama, he stumbles and drops as he emerges. It causes him to kind of nearly go fetal, and he's kind of clutching the wound and just wailing the words, "Leave me alone! Leave me alone!"
What do we have on us? We have belts, don't we? Because we've got our equipment kit with us.
Yes.
I think everything I can do is staunch. Talandra's not. Talandra's from the future where we don't get shot with bullets.
Yeah.
Casey, it's all right. Casey, keep still.
He flails. He's like slapping at the arms and get off me! But there's no fight in it.
And also one of his arms is busted.
Yeah.
And also he's fighting a Vulcan.
Yeah, like it's
not going well for him.
But it's just it's something from fear and this weird animal drive to be alone that's just causing this feeble attempt to just get you away, and it's doing nothing.
She's quite strong. She's gonna rip off his sleeve because then she can try and use that.
Elrad has gone past and is clearly kind of standing point because what the fuck has hurt him, and is kind of flush poised, waiting for something to follow him. Are you trying to patch him up?
I am.
Make me a medicine check, difficulty 4.
This is where I see. What does Talandra have in medicine? Nothing. I'm from the future. We don't have to do this.
We have people and devices for this.
Yes, I press the magic button and he stops dying. Okay.
He's been shot with bullets.
Delightfully crude about bullets, but also it just makes logical sense for the scenario.
No, it makes perfect sense. It's
Also
400 years ago.
Also, something delightfully crude about it.
I am going to tag.
You can roll first. You might roll well.
I think a roll happened.
Oh, did you roll? No.
No. The box of dice destroying is happening.
Can you tag aspects to reroll? Was that a thing?
Yes, you can, but you also have, if you wish, 2 helps. One from Lou, which you're allowed to use, and one which you're not allowed to use.
What will a help get me?
Either a reroll or a +2. No, you've got 2. You have 2 which you're allowed to use.
Okay.
One from Frey McFuzzles and one from Lou.
I'm gonna reroll.
Okay.
But I'm gonna reroll with one of the helps.
You can reroll using Frey McFuzzles' help.
Thank you, Frey McFuzzle. And then I might need to also spend an aspect.
Yeah.
But I have no medicine and it's a 4 and he's my boy!
Oh my gosh. We're going into the box.
Black die is my negative, the grey die is my positive.
Critical success.
It's a critical success! Frey McFuzzles, you did it! We did it! In the absence of a non-binary doctor, we have the non-binary aid brigade.
Okay. Casey lives to be shot again.
Yeah, he is. She is tying his shoulder tightly with his sleeve and putting pressure on it. But also because she's weirdly emotional at the moment, she's genuinely trying to calm him with calm things that a Vulcan would never say.
Oh God.
Oh wow.
I'm upset by this.
Shit's got really serious.
I need some flavour of that.
All right, Casey. It's all right. You're going to be fine. Stop moving. Stop moving. It's all right. Samuel, Stop it. It's all right. Stop struggling. It's okay.
It deteriorates from the panicked begs and pleas of leave me alone, to he gets panicked to the point that he dry heaves and retches a little, and then it's just sobbing, just outright sobbing, clutching onto Talandra, as something kind of breaks through, and there's that when someone's holding something, and they kind of shift their grip to reaffirm it, unaided by the fact that he only has one functioning arm, and seemingly taking all comfort from this one moment, as if she's the only stable thing in the universe anymore.
Major hinder to my heart.
And then, with it, in desperate, fluttered gasps, as his body just struggles to breathe at this point, just barely whispered the words, "It was Adam. It was Adam."
So I think what's happened is that when he grabbed for her, Talandra is properly, because she's been kneeling next to him, is probably going to lift him up, and he's never been hugged by a Vulcan before. It's strange in that it will shoot you. She's holding on to him, and I think, I imagine she's got an expression of kind of concern, and she's very strong, and she's kind of doesn't understand why she's hugging you, but it just kind of feels like the thing to do in the moment. And I imagine when he says, it was Adam, she's going to look at Gull Elrad, and her whole expression is going to just completely darken. What did you say?
Adam found a weapon. Adam shot me. I couldn't fix it. I couldn't fix it.
It's okay. You don't have to fix everything. It's okay. Where is Dr. Burrough?
They're still down there. I didn't see them. I don't know where they went.
Okay. It's okay. Samuel, you don't have to. You've done your best. We need to go back.
No.
So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the lift. We are going to put you, remember the shed? Somewhere out of the way. You're going to stay there until we've sorted this out. All right? And you're going to stay there so that we can find you. You're not going to wander off again, all right?
No, Commander.
Promise.
Promise.
She's going to full on pick him up. She's abandoned her big metal stick, and she's going to pick up Casey and just...
Elrad will get the stick.
And we can just see her, again, she picks him up like he's nothing, and will just walk. And, Elrad can tell that her entire stance has changed, and that she is angry. And now, at least, he kind of gets the context for it.
Elrad will he'll move to get the stick, and even though she's stalking, he will move past to take point.
She is in no way threatened by this gesture because he is being practical.
Yeah, no, I'm going to wield Casey at the danger. You can advance through the long grass, get to the shack, the shed. Casey, you may, because it was a successful medicine check, you can rename that moderate consequence, probably just to bleeding staunched. As it is not going to get worse now.
And once again, Talandra is she's going to set him down, somewhere like relatively comfortable, like a corner where he can be supported, and she's going to lean down and like take hold of his head and just go, now you've lost a lot of blood, so you're likely going to feel very unsettled. You mustn't go to sleep. You must do everything you can to stay conscious and stay here.
Okay.
We will come back for you.
Okay. I think I'd quite like to be alone for a little bit.
I'm sorry for what I said earlier.
Me too.
It was unbecoming of your superior officer to bring emotion into what should have been a simple disciplinary matter.
I was angry. I've never been angry at you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Commander.
Not as sorry as me, because I brought you to this place when you should have been able to rely on me to be a good superior officer. Your expectations were not upheld, and I let you down. You have always been worthy of your position, Samuel. And you are the reason why I am where I am today. And I know that if Commander Varen were here, he would be so proud of you. Not nearly as proud of you as I am.
Thank you. Don't hurt him.
I will do my best not to. But remember, none of us have been ourselves in this place.
Yes, Commander.
And Talandra leaves and will walk rapidly towards the elevator, and she is visibly struggling.
Elrad will move to stand in pace with her. We need a specific plan, Commander. There is a narrow... He reaches out for her shoulder. Talandra.
I brought him to this place to die. I brought all of them here to die.
They are officers. They are Starfleet officers on a mission. You did not do this. He hesitates and then he steps in. If she doesn't resist, he will wrap his arms around her.
I guess that's happening now.
Yep. I
Two
guess
hugs
that's
in one
happening.
day. The rough's down there. Strange is gonna...
We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. We can't assume anything. If Casey didn't see the doctor, maybe the doctor got away. It looked like a potentially expansive section. You did not do this. You did not do this. Casey is alive. We are alive. And we still have a chance.
I left him down there.
We had to split up.
If he'd been conscious, he could have come with us. If he had been conscious, I would have brought him with us.
You are acting with the benefit of hindsight, or speaking with the benefit of hindsight. You made the logical choice at the time. You cannot admonish yourself for not seeing the future.
Wasn't to know.
Weren't to know. This place has compromised Lieutenant Strange to the point where he has attempted to murder a fellow officer. I do not believe that anyone can be held responsible for their actions or judgment down here.
It is, I am afraid, far more serious than that. He has attempted to murder Ensign Samuel Casey.
Yes, Yes. However, at the end of that lift, when the doors open, there is a 5-10 meter narrow passageway. The lift is noisy. Lieutenant Strange will hear us coming and will have ample opportunity, if he so wishes, to box himself down there and shoot anyone who comes out of that lift.
I did not recognize the projectile that struck Ensign Casey. Is it a Cardassian weapon?
We're talking 400 years ago from early spaceflight. They were old projectile slug throwers. They would have been old-fashioned at the time, but from the size of the wound, not that I didn't have much of it. That was probably more of a personal sidearm, such as a hand phaser. Anything larger, and I'm not entirely convinced that Casey, the wound would have been worse. So, however, rate of fire, I'm not the sort of man who obsesses about firearms from several centuries ago. I find such people intensely tiresome.
Yes, also I.
But as an approximate rate of, he would almost certainly be able to shoot in the region of 6 times. Maybe not get all of the shots off before we did. So the best case scenario, one of us is the first person who goes first is hit with a bullet, and then we'll need to be dragged forward as a shield, being repeatedly shot. So that doesn't sound like a very good plan.
As you say, the lift is loud.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, we could use that to our advantage.
Yes. We could look at the access, the emergency access.
Yes. We could look at the emergency access on the way down.
Mm-hmm.
Travel our way down.
Exit the lift.
Yes. He will shoot at the lift as it opens.
And when no one is there, he may go to investigate. Lieutenant Strange is not a tactician, and nor would I imagine. I don't know his service jacket. He is not a tactic. I assume he is not much of a soldier from what you had to say.
Check his skills list, which I can do because I'm the first officer.
I'm gonna check his skill list as well.
He is not. He is a technician. His war record was relatively unbloodied.
Very well, then if you're approaching an enemy in an entrenched position, one of the primary things you do is try to lure them out. If he is an engineer first and foremost, if we can have any opportunity to provide opportunities for him to be overconfident. Of course, this is assuming he is not in just a bloodthirsty rage.
One can use rage against an opponent as well as be the victim of it.
Indeed. Of course, there is one other there are two other concerns. One is Dr. Burov, and the other is what is Strange going to do next?
Strange's behavior so far has been one of increasing annoyance. Therefore, it has escalated to attempted murder. Who can say what is beyond that?
Suggest then perhaps his rage may be something we can use against him, as it may be relatively easily provoked. On that note, how is your temper, Commander?
I have not felt much of a temper since we arrived at the computer core. I believe perhaps if I were to introspect, I have moved to despair. I hope that next comes acceptance.
I merely ask because, well, one, the challenge ahead will be best done if we keep a clear head. And second, I would not want you, even under the best case scenario, for you to unduly hurt or even kill Lieutenant Strange.
I believe that there is no amount of noxious experiments performed by anyone that would induce me to take a life unduly.
Very well. Let's go take a look at this lift. If you are feeling a little better.
I am heartbroken, but this facility has robbed me of a great amount of my dignity. It shall not rob me of this.
Proceed towards the lift. Adam Strange.
Hang on, Kath, I'm sending you a message.
Oh, okay. Please hold.
Please hold.
Oh, we should have done our planning without.
I was coming up with the plan while you guys were role playing. Okay, it just took me a while. I tried. Please hold. Your message is important to us. Cool. Thanks, Kath.
Okay. I'm not. Now I'm at that point where I don't know what I just did.
I neither like nor trust what is going on.
Adam Strange, you're down in the computer core. Make me an engineering check. That will, it's difficulty 3.
5.
Okay. That's at least a regular access to the systems.
Okay.
As this headset probably was designed for someone who did have full access, which you don't have, but you can work your way through, as it clearly has a certain amount of backdoor access to limited array. Why has anyone designed this place where it comes with a murder set? You're pretty sure that by now you've isolated it so that you can turn off lights individually on any room completely at your discretion remotely. And you think you might be able to, and you think you can lock specific doors.
Okay.
At your discretion.
Cool.
It's all it seems to give you the power for, to lock doors. There is a bit of access to active.
Well.
Yes, lock doors, unlock doors,
Okay,
not the main
cool.
doors, but internal doors you can lock or unlock, any specifically ones. Lights in any rooms you can turn on or off. There is a program for what looks like the agricultural automata, but all half dozen of them are offline.
Oh, okay. So I can't send a murder robot into the shack.
You can't send a murder robot into the shack.
Not that I know
Hilarious
that
as that
Casey's but,
that would have been. Sorry, that's the final thing. You can have access to the internal camera system.
Awesome. I shall have a look at the internal camera system.
Now
if anywhere, if I can see them on the cameras at all, because they might not show on the cameras, given that they might all just be in my head.
They show on the cameras. You will locate that. You will be able to locate that Casey is in the shack, the shed, and whilst you you think you've got audio, there isn't. No, it doesn't have an earpiece. Nope, you don't have any audio, so that's a factor.
That's very useful.
No, it's not that fancy.
It's not
and
that
you
useful.
will have spotted at the threshold of the agricultural section to approach the lift, Elrad and Talandra in a conversation.
So with the internal, I'm just trying to think, what would Strange actually do here? Can I lock the lift so it's not going anywhere? Does that count as a door? That I
Yeah,
access
you
with the
can.
system?
You can.
Just
Yes.
deactivate
Yes.
the lift.
Yeah, you can just turn that lift off.
Cool, lift's off.
Lift's off. Okay.
So I can see Elrad, Talandra, Casey.
You've got
Can
no
I
idea where
see-
Burov is.
Okay, well, maybe they were never there.
Yeah. It does not appear, whilst you have a camera view of yourself in this room, just almost from an OC perspective, there is no camera feed for the back crawl spaces that Borov has disappeared into. That hasn't been cameraed up.
Okay.
Camera coverage appears good, but is not
that good.
Not
that paranoid.
Yeah. And it does not include the lift shaft from an OC basis either.
Yeah, that's what I was about to check was in terms of ways down here, where it's covered. So
the lift itself.
Yeah, the lift itself, the lift shaft, no.
No. And if there are any other access, like maintenance access passageways, you don't know where they are.
Okay.
But there probably aren't going to be that many, and if so, they're probably going to lead to an annoying fucking climb, probably somewhere out of the out of the perimeter of the agricultural section, and then probably is going to bring you somewhere in the shitty crawl spaces.
In the shitty I was about
to you're unlikely to move through that quietly.
Yep. Okay, well, that'll do for now, unless he hears anything. Is he? Borov? Are they making any noise in the walls?
No, Borov's being very quiet in the walls, actually.
Cool.
Yeah.
Then Strange has no reason to escalate.
Strange gonna spawn camp?
Basically, yeah.
Okay.
It's gonna. So what I have in my head for the way this the room and corridor setup works is, so there's the lift, long thin corridor, and then it opens out a bit.
Yep, it opens out into a more quite a large circular chamber,
circular room,
which has various bits of cover as well.
Oh,
like the various computer consoles, a few, workspaces. Not a lot, but some.
Anything movable?
I'm gonna spend a Hyperion's Hinder and give you a work trolley.
Cool. Put that on the end of the corridor.
Yep, you've got some mobile cover, so you could indeed aim down that corridor from cover and shoot.
Awesome. Is he going to escalate to killing the lights yet? No, he's not. He's going to save that for when somebody's coming in, so that they think they're coming in lights, and then he can just go, nope, no lights for you. Don't give people time to have night vision.
I will accept discussions for moderate helps and hinders, but they must be discussions. And I guess majors, I will accept discussions. But reach out to me after this session.
That's pretty much all Strange is going to do at the moment by way of any kind of prep for anybody coming down. So now he's going to go back to what is still kind of fixed in his head as the thing he's down here to do.
Okay.
Which is tackling the computer core.
Okay.
Oh, actually, no. One other bit of prep, because there's that rifle that was in the drawer.
Yeah.
Does it work?
Maybe
He'll just test it out on the floor or something. It's not going to actually.
Oh yeah, you shoot. Yeah, okay, yeah, you loose around and you shoot around. Arrows. Borov, there's another gunshot from wherever you are. You shoot.
Okay, so it's the same kind of weapon
bigger,
as
clearly.
Bigger, but it's a projectile weapon.
Yeah, it's another projectile weapon.
It's not an energy weapon or anything like that. It is relying purely on the laws of physics.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's coming out the drawer.
Good.
And being placed, to hand.
Yeah.
Just in case.
Okay.
And he'll probably put the sidearm in. He's probably got the holster.
Yeah, he's got the phaser holster, so he could probably ditch the phaser because that
ditch the phaser. That's doing fuck all.
Yeah.
replace it with this little sidearm.
Okay. And is Stray still basically going to try to give himself isolate the lockdown and dampening field?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's still kind of the task that's burning in his head of,
okay.
this is the thing that I'm supposed to be down here for. This is the reason I don't want these distractions.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Distractions are dealt with, so back to the task at hand.
You can get to work. Dr. Burov, you have crawled through these awful conditions. I mean,
They are grubby.
yeah, they have crawled through spaces they were not meant to crawl and slither through. They are grubby. They have probably burnt themselves a bit on something, and then other bits are really cold. There is loud, there is hissing, there is a clanging of machinery, but they have worked their way back to what they believe is to actually what is a tanker with a computer display on the side, which is up and operational.
Can they look at the computers?
Yeah. Take a look. And what is on there is, oh God, I didn't think I was going to have to go anywhere near the science of this, and I think I was going to physically get this far back. What it is the display. First, it does say program 97 in operation. And underneath is a display of various different levels of various different chemical compounds, what is being used in what combination from what is in the various tank reserves, and you believe that there are multiple containers within this tank to pump out whatever is being come out into program 97.
Are any of them things that Arcady recognizes?
Make me a medicine check, because they are actually things which Arcady recognizes, but in isolation they don't necessarily mean a great deal.
5.
Okay. Yeah, this thing, shockingly, everything as he would have anticipated, but Borov does finally have the confirmation of this is pumping out a various combination of psychotropic drugs, which it's difficult by just looking at a chemical formula to figure out what it's going to do. You would suspect it is likely to primarily induce frustration and paranoia, but without obviously anticipating what levels of what have got into which different alien physiologies. Certainly you've all been hit with the exact same dose of stuff, but brain chemistry's whack, yo. That's what you get for a 5. Brain chemistry's whack, yo.
That's all I need. If anything more, and my eyes would have glazed over.
I don't know.
You sent the right
more.
person into this. I'm not going to ask you about the science because I don't care.
No, me neither.
They're definitely going to frown though, and come to the conclusion that trying to change the level of chemicals in the air is much more dangerous than just stopping them pumping out whatever they're pumping out. So they are going to try and trace the tubes from the vat to the main ventilation system.
Yep. You know what those are. That's what you followed. Yep. You know exactly which tubes there are.
Right. I'm normally much better at fixing the ventilation system. But there must be some way of turning you off. And they're going to dig in.
Are they digging in by physically wrecking shit or by trying to access the computer system?
What they're actually looking for, hopefully, is the middle ground where maybe there's some sort of physical shut-off valve.
Okay. Make me an engineering check. Don't forget they probably have access to help from Lou. You've still got some hinders, Emily, don't worry.
I would like to spend my help to reroll.
Okay. It's difficulty 1 still, but I'm counting degrees of success as time factors on this.
After 4.
It's a 4. Okay.
I like to think of this as a help from Nurse Spy all the way over on the ship.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, obviously this thing has the capacity to not pump this stuff out and to pump it out at different rates, because that's exactly what it does. So you want to make sure that you can go through a series of valves to be able to not cut the air, although to be fair, there's probably enough oxygen in. And with that, you reckon that you could, yeah, so that's what you can get to work.
I love the idea that throughout all of this, it's Dr. Burov who's becoming the kind of ripped shirt, grubby cheeked, like action hero engineer.
John McClane.
Okay. And as Ensign Casey cowers, injured, shot by his boyfriend, no less, in a shack, as Dr. Arkady Burov desperately races to try to stop the psychotropic drugs which have been affecting everyone. Will they be able to provide a solution to save people before Gal Elrad and Commander Talandra are forced to attempt to make an assault upon an entrenched position with an armed and currently murderous Adam Strange? So that's where we're going to leave it tonight. So I always described this as the crew go into a creepy facility. Well, the basic concept was a crew go into a creepy facility and get smacked with various roleplay effects from psychotropic drugs. And I always said, and then redacted. And the and then redacted is, you know, one of them snaps and tries to murder everybody else.
Was that always planned?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck!
It was. Not like I didn't know from the get-go, but I found out it during the break.
I had always intended for
why
Adam
is it
Strange
poor
to try
Adam?
because I wanted it. To be
Because
fair,
why
the
not?
Adam believes that it is happening. You know, Adam's decreasing belief in the reality around him was not something I anticipated, but as Emily leaned into it, it is something I have incorporated. I had not.
Yeah,
I had
that one's
not
Izzy's
been,
fault.
Yeah, exactly.
That
was
one's
your
Izzy's
fault.
fault.
Wait, what?
You're the one who introduced Adam's the whole issue with are things real or not?
Yeah,
And you know,
the lovely planet of Theocade. I have no say in whether Cardassians would eat you or whatever. I was upstairs having a lovely heart-to-heart with
thought his
my
boyfriend died.
Cardassian crush.
And now
Yeah,
he's on a
that's one of
different
the
planet
reasons I was-
hallucinating, and maybe on this one his boyfriend will actually die.
That'd be nice.
I was happy to let the conversations crack on with Talandra and Elrad about books and then about, you know, sad backstory, because I was like, shit's about to get way too real for them to have a sad heart-to-heart in a confined and dark space.
Like
I gotta let this happen.
during a shooting match, Hank.
The arc of this session regarding the emotions has been perfect, and I have about 8 million tabs open from my Vulcan resources websites being like, is there any record of this? What is the attitude to this? What did Surak say about this?
Yes, I hope you had fun. Next week will be the final episode. It's just
One way or another.
Just of the USS Iskandar, because half the crew are going to die.
Yeah.
as Strange goes on a killing spree.
Have you had a good birthday, Kath?
Oh,
Was
yeah.
this
this is
suitable?
everything I wanted for my birthday.
Happy
was to just
birthday to
There has been a
you.
section where I had to mute to just cackle as you. I think it was when you first got to the computer core and that entire meltdown was happening. I think I had to mute to just cackle. So thank you. It's everything I wanted and more.
Yay.
Happy
I
birthday to
appreciate
you.
how I
Hang
can
on.
just
Space
wind this
crew.
up
Hang on,
and
hang
let
on.
you go. What?
Hang on. I feel that we deserve to give the Trash Fam the same treat that I got on my birthday. we should all sing Kath happy birthday.
Oh no,
okay.
but it was horribly out of sync.
Perfect.
It was a nightmare.
I was wondering where that was going.
So you have all not lived until you've heard happy birthday sung via Zoom, because it's magical and I loved it.
You just gotta you gotta double down. Don't listen to anyone else. Just sing as best as you can.
So if everyone could join us back at home,
I'm going to mute my own audio so that I don't listen to you lot, so that I am as out of sync as possible, isn't it?
I won't. I'm going to enjoy it.
Yeah,
everyone, if you join us in at home, singing to our good GM Kath. Kath, you're not allowed to mute. You must enjoy this as it happens.
The worst happy birthday singing that's ever happened
Right.
to me, and it's not even happened yet.
3, 2.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Kath. Happy birthday to you.
I think that sounded perfect.
That was the worst thing I've ever heard in my life.
That's what you said after my happy birthday singing.
Yeah, but at least then I was singing, so I couldn't fully hear all of you, but this time not singing.
Guys, we just lost 100 subscribers.
We had 100 subscribers.
People subscribed to unsubscribe. It was wild.
I need everyone to know that the video of them singing to me I did put on Twitter, and I do watch it from time to time when I need a boost in my life. It's my favourite video because I love... Oh, my face hurts now. That was the perfect pick-me-up after a very serious episode.
My face hurts because I've been laughing so much this episode.
Oh, good
going,
Lord.
oh God, why?
I'm so glad.
Just thank you so much, everyone in the chat who...
Thank you for your yelling.
Thank you for your yelling. Thank you for your persistent helps and hinders that have been obviously making everything bad and good for people in turn. Thank you specifically to Emily for being the fucking git among the pigeons. And
I knew what I was doing.
yeah making
Kath knew exactly what she was doing.
making room for the
I feel
secret
called
traitors.
out.
A good idea. I will never play Betrayal at the House on the Hill with you. I just know for a fact. Nor Battlestar.
I was the Cylon all along.
But also, thank you everyone for watching. Thank you for your constant enthusiasm on this series and our previous series. If this is your first one watching, then feel free to spend the next week catching up on our stories over on youtube.com. We're at itucrew. All of us, except for Emily, have run sessions so far, so you can see a range of storytellers. Although, rumor on the grapevine is that may stand to change anytime soon, Emily.
Couldn't possibly comment.
You might say so. I couldn't possibly comment. So that'll be great. And as usual, so yeah, basically last week I couldn't read the Patreon list because I couldn't log in on my laptop. This week I can't log in because the password's been changed and I've not been told the new password. So I sent about 800 spam messages to the rest of the crew going, help, tell me what the Patreon list, and none of them have responded to me because I'm unpopular. But thank you so much to our patrons. I promise that the finale next week I shall do a dramatic reading of the full Patreon list with fun and helpful facts about all of them that will definitely not be made up. So
hold them to this.
So if you come next week, you will see me reading out the Patreon list with a thing I reckon about them. I won't be mean because I'm incapable of being mean. I'm a lovely person. So if in the meantime that appeals to you, feel free to go ahead and support us. We are at patreon.com/itucrew because of branding. But if, of course, Patreon either isn't your bag or $1 or $2 a month is beyond your means, which is completely reasonable, please, the thing that is worth more than gold, not probably more than gold, because gold is pretty up right now, I think, more than jam, is to tell your friends about our game. I know a lot of people watch this time shifted and not live, so if you're watching this later, hi, what's the weather like where you are? You look lovely. Feel free to shout out and message us. over on Twitter at @ItUCrew, or if you know us on Facebook, as I believe some people in the audience do because they are our friends in real life, or are sitting in the next room from Mike, just cackling and waiting for him to be done, then feel free to recommend us to your friends, link people to our YouTube page, talk about us and our Star Trek worlds, or just tell us the thing you enjoyed most about the session. We all work very hard on being this emotional all the time, and we love to hear about it. So
yell at us on the internet.
Yell at us on the internet about the thing. You cannot be too keen because we're big old nerds. Emily is currently working on a I did it now, on an Adam Strange costume. So you can't judge us.
I am. I got the pattern on Monday.
I love you so much.
So
but aside from that, if you are a fan of us and the broader ItU crew, do watch this space because we have some exciting news due to be coming out in the coming weeks. Follow us on Twitter for more information, or don't, and just be like that. But apart from that, look after yourselves, everyone. Look us up on all of the socials, or some of them, not all of them. We're not on Tinder. But you can feel free to imagine that as we say good night, Trash Fam. Lots of love, and